The events of September 11th have brought mourning to our country and changed our lives forever. For 75 years, the people of Southeast Michigan have come here to Michigan Stadium for a respite from the grim realities of the real world. The players are back too, focused on a game, unified as is this nation, not just for maize and blue, but on this weekend, red, white, and blue. It is in this spirit we present Big Ten football. But before we do, we welcome in our colleague, Mike Gleason.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Phillips 66 Sports Center in-game studios. It's certainly great to have you with us again for another season of Big Ten football. College football doesn't seem as important as it once did, but it's a game that's been such a big part of so many American lives. College football offers a sense of community, and hopefully today, college football can at least help start some form of healing process. The players are ready to get back on the football field, but even as they resume their schedules, they do it while still riding that emotional roller coaster.
In the back of our heads is always going to be that one thing that we're thinking about, and that's what happened in New York, you know. It's pretty much touching us all in our hearts.
All the things that happened last week, kind of take a step back and look at your situation and put things in perspective. And I think we did that, and I think now you can enjoy, I think we enjoy football more now that we have the opportunity to play it.
It's been hard. You know, I can't tell you it's been easy. It's been hard to concentrate, you know. We don't put football at the head of our lives. You know, we got to live life first. Life is way more important than football.
Everybody has to go back and focus in on what they were doing previously, you know, because our lives go on. And even though there's a lot bigger things than what we're doing, a lot bigger things than athletics, we just have to move on.
Well spoken, Mr. Lloyd. And when they do take the field again today, Wisconsin and Penn State open Big Ten play as Joe Paterno once again gets a shot at tying Bear Bryant's all-time 1A record for wins. Michigan State goes for their 5th straight win over Notre Dame, their 3rd straight in South Bend. Jim Tressel takes his Buckeyes on the road for the first time, heading for the Rose Bowl to meet 12th-ranked UCLA. Illinois goes for their 3rd straight 3-0 start when they host unbeaten Louisville. Purdue's at home hosting Akron. Indiana entertains Utah, while Northwestern moves into ACC country to take on Duke. Michigan Stadium, just one place where America comes together for college football this afternoon. We'll get you back out to Ann Arbor for today's national anthem right after this. That's going to do it for us in the Phillips 66 Sports Center in-game studios. We'll see you back here at halftime with all the scores and highlights from games across America. Right now, let's send you back to Michigan Stadium for today's national anthem. Here's Wayne Larrabee. Wayne?
Well, thank you, Mike. We expect better than 110,000 perhaps on hand here today at Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor. And as you can see, it is a sun-splashed Saturday afternoon. The Wolverines about to enter the playing field, and there they are. Arrived early here at the stadium. They had to go through a little bit more than the usual ticket taking, but the players are glad to be back in the arena, and the fans appear to be as well. Hi everybody, I'm Wayne Larrabee. I'll be joined by Randy Wright and Jim Barber a little bit later on, and we'll document the game for you here today. But in the wake of the events of September 11th, there is no question we've seen America at its best in time of crisis. But you know, America has always embraced its leisure time. And there is no greater example of that than a sunny Saturday afternoon in Ann Arbor when the Michigan Wolverines are on the field. The tailgating was a bit subdued earlier today, but the fans made their way into the stadium a little bit earlier. Western Michigan, the opponent here this afternoon, of the Broncos, are glad to be in town for this ball game. Certainly a patriotic theme here today, and in a few moments we'll take part in a service prior to the kickoff of this afternoon's game. There'll be a moment of silence. The two teams are on the field for the playing of our national anthem, and we'll all stand by and watch and look in here today. As I mentioned, the stadium filled up a little bit early. Fans made their way in, went through the usual security, a little bit more than that perhaps today, but they're in place and ready for this ceremony that's about to take place. Lloyd Carr in his 7th season here at Michigan His counterpart on the other sideline, Gary Darnell. Both coaches, I think, in the end, glad and relieved that this game was not played last week, but that they were able to reschedule for this week. A USA theme. Yeah, there's some maize and blue here, but there's a lot of red, white, and blue as well. And the flags flying at half-staff. No one is forgetting the tragedy of September 11th, but this perhaps a break for 3 hours on a beautiful, beautiful afternoon, a sunny afternoon here at Michigan Stadium. We pause now for a moment of silence here at Michigan Stadium for those who lost their lives on September 11th.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the University of Michigan Athletic Department requests that everyone in Michigan Stadium please stand for a moment of silence. Please take this time to remember and honor the victims of last week's tragedies and to reflect on the values and freedoms that are the foundation of our great country. Thank you. And now, as our flag is raised and brought to half-staff by the Tri-Service ROTC Color Guard, we invite you to stand and join in singing as Professor Michael Haithcock, Director of Bands at the University of Michigan, leads us all in our national anthem.
This afternoon from Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, the Western Michigan Broncos pay a visit to the Michigan Wolverines. Big Ten football on ESPN Plus is presented by Advance Auto Parts. Red, white, and blue throughout the stadium here on a beautiful September Saturday afternoon. Hi, everybody. I'm Wayne Larrabee along with Randy Wright. We'll be joined by Jim Barber down to the sidelines. Well, it seems like it's been so long ago since these kids played a football game. All that's happened in the world around them. What's their mindset?
Well, there's a lot of emotion going through these kids. As you said, it seems like forever since they've played. And now that they know that it's okay to play. Last week there were a lot of questions. This week it is okay to play. That's what the people want, and that's what they want. So there's a lot of excitement going through there, and they want to get on the field and get to doing what they do, and that is play ball.
And Michigan will kick to Western Michigan to start the proceedings here this afternoon. Dropping back deep, that's Ronald Rogers to receive this kick as we get set for football. Philip Brabs will do the kicking off for Michigan here today. Lloyd Carr not happy with his special teams in the loss at Washington 2 weeks ago. And here's the kickoff. Rogers out across the 25-yard line. Earlier today, Jim Barber talked with Lloyd Carr.
When tragedy struck the United States 11 days ago, Lloyd Carr sat down with his football team and became a listener, he said. And, Coach, what did you learn about your group in relation to what's happening in this country?
Well, Jim, as a football coach, you do a lot more talking than you do listening, and I wanted to find out exactly where our team was, what their thoughts and feelings and emotions were. And I expected maybe a 20, 25-minute meeting. It ended up being an hour and 20 minutes. And during that time, I gained tremendous respect for the young people that we have at Michigan. I'm sure they're the same type of people that we have across this country. They're very concerned, very sad. Their emotions ran the gamut and expressed, I think, what we feel as a country.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Jim. Jeff Welsh just completed his first pass, gain of about 9 yards to Darnell Jennings, and it's second down for Western Michigan. They'll use a 3-receiver set most of the day. Wolverines almost jumped off sides of that play. Meanwhile, they're very close to the first down. Let's take a look at the Western Michigan backs and receivers. Advance Auto Parts starting lineups. Philip Reed getting the start at running back. Jennings is a tall receiver. Wolverton as well. Bush is the go-to guy. And Farragon is the receiver most decorated in this corps. Hinson and Stover are the strength of the offensive line. Once again, the 3-receiver set on a first down for Western Michigan. That's Bush in motion. Pass got just past the receiver, so it is a legal pass, but Victor Hobson was in on the quarterback almost before he completed his drop.
Boy, it was. It's supposed to be a bootleg. He comes out, and here you take a look at this defense, and they're going to be coming after Welsh all day.
Rumashik, Hoyer, Lazarus has moved into the starting lineup. Shante Orr is an athlete to watch. There's Hobson who just made the play. Foot and Brackens. Brackens in his first game of the season. He's been on the injured list the past 2 weeks. Jeremy LeSueur has moved into the starting lineup along with Todd Howard in the corners of that defense. Good safeties as well. On second down, Philip Reed to the 40-yard line, and we may get a violation of the neutral zone by the Michigan Wolverines. Hobson made the stop on the play.
Well, Wayne, that's going to be one of those, what did the officials see first? Michigan jumped, but also a wide out for Western Michigan did. And there you saw the hand signal. Looks like it's going to go against the home team.
There is Lloyd Carr. Michigan has never lost to a team that now constitutes the Mid-American Conference. They're 14-0, but all 14 of those games have been played here.
Well, that's a big advantage, but I don't really know if it would have mattered where they would have been played.
So second down coming up once again for Western Michigan. You'll see a lot of single back offense behind Jeff Welsh. Quick inside handoff, and Philip Reed's got a couple of yards out close to the 44-yard line. Dan Rumashek made the stop. Gary Darnell has done an outstanding job. He is the MAC Coach of the Year a season ago at Western Michigan.
Key third down coming up here for Western Michigan. They spread things out. They try and take advantage of what the defense gives them. Don't force anything. A lot of pressure on their quarterback to execute.
They'd like to do better than that on third down. Micah Zool in these situations is one of their go-to receivers. Good possession receiver. He got inside position on Julius Curry to make the reception for a first down.
Well, Zool making only his 4th reception of the season, and that's one of the things that you have to face when you face this offense is they have so many different guys that are capable of catching the ball. They interchange them, a lot of substitutions. You really don't know who maybe Western is thinking their go-to guy is.
Well, they like to do different things with the same combination of players on the field, and they'll throw a lot of different shifts and looks at a defense, and right now they're in a 4-receiver set. Play action, Welsh with plenty of time. A Farragon on a diving grab inside the Michigan 30-yard line. Make that Jennings on the reception.
Boy, Jennings was open, Wayne, early. He was wide open. See if we can see him coming right into the bottom of the screen. Look how open he is right there. Michigan reacts. A little better throw hits him in stride, and that could have turned into a much bigger play. But here you see as Welsh gets his head up, then picks him up, does a nice job at least of finding him, though it be late. Turns into what is excellent now field position for Western.
Jennings, one of the possession receivers, good size. He's 6'3" and 200 pounds. Welsh under pressure. Larry Foote and Cato June meet at the quarterback. Lost back outside the 35-yard line.
Boy, Larry Foote is a welcome return to this defense. He's been hurt, came back last week against Washington 2 weeks ago, played an outstanding game. He's a leader in that middle of their defense there. I think he tied his school record, 6 sacks, 6 tackles for loss.
6 tackles for loss
against Washington, and he had another one there at a key time, right when Western Michigan was starting to get a little thing going on offense.
2nd and 17. Barry Ogan was in motion. Welsh, good protection. Jennings makes the catch close to the 20-yard line. Todd Howard had the coverage.
Boy, that's one thing these Broncos will do. They will keep coming after you. Michigan gets a big play on defense. They go right back, a little play action pass, which worked for them earlier in this drive. Welsh gets good protection, then throws a strike right to Jennings. Take a look at this now. Good protection. Watch him stand up, throws a strike right where it needs to be, and Jennings does a nice job of catching that under duress.
This is the opening drive of the ball game. Western Michigan with a 3rd down at about 2. Blitz coming. Welsh nowhere to go. Back outside the 25-yard line. A loss of about 7 yards. 2nd sack of the series for the Michigan defense.
Boy, you talked about the blitz coming, Wayne, but watch how the pocket collapses. The blitz coming from the left side of your screen, but watch the whole pocket just collapses, and there are several blue jerseys back there. Welch, in seeing that first guy come through, maybe you got to get rid of that ball and at least save your field position.
First field goal attempt coming up for Robert Menchinger. Mishandled snap cost him an opportunity at Virginia Tech 2 weeks ago. 44-yarder, and this one not going to get there. So the Michigan defense gives, but not everything. They stall the Broncos. We're scoreless with 10:32 to go in the first. Wayne Larrabee, Randy Wright, Jim Barber, welcome back to Michigan. No score. The Wolverine defense saw Western take a 10-play, 47-yard drive and backed him up on a sack and a missed field goal, and now the Wolverine offense on the field for the first time. John Navarre has proved to be an accurate passer and a cool customer. Chris Perry across the 30 to the 33-yard line. Advance Auto Parts starting lineups in for the Wolverines. Perry and Askew, 2 fine runners. Askew is a threat to run the football to the fullback spot. Walker, the star in the receiving corps. They need help for him on the flank. The offensive line, Jonathan Goodwin is the leader along with Kurt Anderson. They have the experience. Petruzzello is a former defensive lineman. That always helps.
Helps use your hands, you mean?
Yes. On 2nd down, Perry got the first down out to the 39-yard line. For the Western Michigan Broncos defensively, Browning and Alsbury are the strength of the defensive line. The linebackers are new and somewhat inexperienced. Malloy and Leif will see a lot of people play on the front. Rogers and Ballard on the corners. Lewis, Brown, and Forrest are safeties, and their base defense is what most teams would call a nickel. First down for the Wolverines. Perry again. Defensive coordinator Jim Knowles of Western Michigan mentioned that he felt that the Wolverines would try to attack right at Western Michigan up front because they're undersized at the tackles and inexperienced in the linebacking corps.
And that's a bad combination to have. You mentioned how good the defensive ends are, Chris Browning and Anthony Alsbury, but inside, as you said, the 2 defensive tackles and the 2 linebackers, those are where the questions come up.
2nd down for Michigan. Perry going wide this time. Browning got out in front of the play with help from Leip. Jim Barber is on the sidelines with us. Jimmy, what can you tell us about the security precautions that have been taken?
Wayne, you mentioned earlier, much tighter than usual here at Michigan Stadium. German Shepherds all over the field before today's game to make sure that nothing was amiss. And also everybody getting checked a little bit more than usual. In fact, that allowed for a late arriving crowd here at Michigan Stadium. That's rather unusual. But this type of security will be in effect, the checking of handbags and such, for quite a period of time. I should also mention, no fly zone today, no airplanes above the stadium by way of restrictions from the FAA. Guys?
Third down, Navarre. Calvin Bell for a first down in Bronco territory at the 46-yard line. Joe Ballard responded from the secondary along with Jermaine Forrest. And the Wolverines move the chains.
This secondary there led by Joe Ballard and Ron Rogers, the two corners, very experienced. This is where Navarre, though, is at his best. When he can drop back straight in the pocket, gets pressure. He's got an incredibly strong arm, and he's gaining confidence and poise with every snap he takes and every game he plays. Lloyd Carr very impressed with the way he grew up against Washington, wants that to continue today.
He struggled in the first half, but came on late in the second quarter at Washington. This is Askew for the first time today, and a beautiful tackle made by JoJo Mesa, a junior college transfer from Mount San Antonio, and he has really moved up the charts on the depth chart for Western Michigan.
PJ Askew, a dangerous back, whether from the fullback or tailback position, and this shoestring tackle right here by Mesa saves what could have been a pretty big play. Askew started one game at tailback, one game at fullback. Lloyd Carr, though, starts Perry this week, along with Askew wanting to get his best 11 offensive players on the field.
It is second down. Marquise Walker's first catch of the day nets a first down to the 36 of the Broncos. A little out pattern. Joe Ballard and Jermaine Lewis respond from the secondary.
Marquise Walker, big game last 2 weeks ago against Washington, 15 catches. But Michigan needs somebody else to stand up and develop. There you saw the hit right as Walker comes down with that ball. Michigan, though, looking for another receiver to emerge to complement Walker.
Walker last week, 15 passes. School record, 15 receptions. Navarre, there's that deep out. Oh, nice break on the ball by Ronald Rogers.
Boy, it was. He was looking into the backfield, read the pattern early, got an excellent jump, but you still take a look at the arm strength Navarre has from the far hash mark, getting that ball out there.
He gets it out there in a hurry, doesn't he?
He does. He's got a pretty big league fastball.
He does. He's still learning. He's just in
only a sophomore. In fact, first time ever, Michigan does not have a quarterback on its roster with junior-senior eligibility. Everybody is younger than that.
I thought you'd notice that. The officials noticed something here as well and threw a flag on it.
Start for the snap. Full start. Offense.
When you start looking for some signs of players and the emotion and the excitement and getting back into it, these are some of the mental mistakes that happen early as you start to get into that rhythm that you want to have from the very beginning. Players will start to settle down once they get a couple of hits.
Michigan backed up, 2nd and 15. Coach Carr. Been an emotional week for him as well, as Jim Barber documented with the coach earlier today. 4 receivers set, Navarre deep drop, and they screen it. B.J. Askew. Touchdown. "41 yards. Ronald Bellamy delivered a rushing block that helped spring that play. Bellamy, a wide receiver.
Sometimes, Wayne, when you get the ball in a back's hands, he's used to running with it. Watch how Askew, a receiver to begin with. Right now, though, he becomes a runner. And watch him set up his blocks. Little move, little patience to let the blocks develop. Picks up a little block down there. Nice play.
Epstein adds the extra point. The crowd back into it in a hurry. Michigan on the board first here this afternoon. Today's Big Ten game is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people. Discover Card for the slightly smarter consumer. Miller Lite, it's Miller time. Citgo. At Citgo, we enjoy football as much as you do. Citgo, we know you. Cooper Tires, a lot of mileage for the money. Cooper Tires, drive on. And by Sanard, now with 2 distinctively different car lines, the L Series and the S Series. Ronald Rogers back deep for the second time today to receive the kickoff from Philip Brabs. And this one over the head of the return man into the end zone. What's always been impressive about Lloyd Carr Michigan wide receivers is their ability to block.
Well, you can't have success getting the ball to the outside if you don't have wide receivers to block. Watch how Bellamy gets in front of Ballard. He doesn't try and push him from the back, which would have brought the penalty on. He stays in front of him. Then when Ballard moves, Bellamy continues to get in front of him, sustains his block. Big key to Askew's touchdown.
9 plays, 73 yards for the Wolverines on the scoring drive. First down, Western Michigan. Empty backfield behind Welsh. A little look in over the middle. Reception made by Kendrick Mosley. And the linebackers, Brackens and Foote, respond. Gain of about 7.
Jeff Welsh, coming off a less than stellar performance against Virginia Tech, had a very good first game against Illinois State, struggled last week, and he is a quarterback like most offenses, but particularly this one. He has got to have an outstanding game for the Broncos to have success.
4 receivers set for Western. Reed the long setback. Western likes to run out of the 4 receivers set to spread the defense and then find a crease inside.
Wayne, take a look at the pressure that Welsh has been under. When you spread your offense out and you've got no backs in to help block, you've got to expect to be able to take these hits. And we're early here in the game, and he's already been sacked a couple of times and taken some hits when he's gotten rid of the ball.
Randy, when you're in that kind of a set, generally does the quarterback have a man he's got to watch out for on a blitz or rush?
Looks like he's got 2 or 3 he's got to look out for here, but yes, there's usually at least one he's got to watch.
Third down coming up for Western Michigan, but Welsh gets a timeout and will return with the Wolverines leading 7-0. Wayne Larrabee, Randy Wright, Jim Barber back at Michigan Stadium. Patriotic afternoon. College football returns on the national stage. Western Michigan trailing 7-0. Empties the backfield. 2 tight ends set. Third down. Welsh looks over the middle. Ferriogan makes the catch for a first down to the Phillips 66 Sports Center in-game studio. Mike Leeson.
When Wisconsin, Penn State, Badgers on the board first. 9 plays, 61 yards. Capped off by Brooks Bollinger. Get Markinelli 3 yards. Badgers up 6-0 after they miss the extra point. Wayne.
And Mike, as you mentioned earlier, Joe Paterno trying for his 323rd win to equal Bear Bryant. First down, football to the 38-yard line for Western Michigan. Welsh drops it. Falls on it back inside the 25. Lazarus made sure he covered it.
Well, a mistake you just can't have at this time. A fake handoff right here. Quarterback's got to keep his hand on that ball. Now, Reed brought his elbow down to try and really emphasize the fake, but as a quarterback, you know you're keeping that ball to yourself. You got to have your passing grip on it anyway. Your responsibility to make sure you've got a secure hold of it.
Turnovers and penalties killed Gary Darnell's team at West Virginia a couple of weeks ago. They had 10 penalties in that game and I believe 3 turnovers. The fake to Reed didn't fool Larry Foote. We mentioned him earlier. Larry Foote is much quicker than he was a year ago. He spent time in the offseason working with the Michigan women's track coach James Henry to improve his speed and quickness. And boy, he's been in the backfield all day.
Well, nice job by Foote. Blitzing under control, not just coming full out at the quarterback. The play was taking place right in front of him. He kept his eyes open, reacted to it. Instead of just going for the quarterback, kept things in front of him and made the tackle. So nice play by Foote right from the get-go.
Third and, to understate it, long. Welsh It is 4th down for Western Michigan. Cato June the coverage on Marco Wolverton. Jeff Welsh has absorbed quite a pounding already, and we still have over 3 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Well, Michigan knows that Western Michigan is going to spread things out. They're not going to have the extra blockers in there. They feel that they have a strength advantage up front. And if they just push that pocket back, they're going to put a pretty good beating on Welsh. And as you said, Wayne, so far here in this first quarter, they've done an effective job of that.
The punt from Anderson. Julius Curry shakes the first and the second. Now the third, and finally brought down by the 4th tackler. Inside Western territory at the Bronco 41. Let's take a moment to thank our Big Ten corporate partners. Scudder Investments, translating opportunities. Cooper Tires, a lot of mileage for the money. Cooper Tires, drive on. And 7-Up, make 7-Up yours. Michigan already leading 7-0. Much to the delight of those fellows on the drums. Starting this drive at the 41-yard line of Western Michigan. And they reverse it to Calvin Bell. Made a good move in the backfield, but barely got back to the line of scrimmage. Man who got there first, Jermaine Lewis.
Nice job by Jermaine Lewis coming up from his safety position and staying in the backfield. Wasn't fooled at all by this. There you see Bell right there, comes right into Lewis, and even though Lewis is semi-juked out there in the backfield, when you have a reverse, when you stay at home, even though you don't make the tackle, you're responsible for the play.
Well, exactly, and the loss of 1 on the play now. Michigan 2nd and 11. Navarre, ball tipped, penalty marker down. Ball was tipped by Brian Lape. It was intended for either Bellamy or Marquise Walker. Holding the call on Michigan.
Good pressure up the middle by the Broncos defense. They only came with 4, and when you induce a holding penalty with 4, you're getting some pressure up front.
Holding on the offense. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
It'll be 3rd and 11. They can get some pressure off their base 4-man line with those defensive ends.
Well, their defensive ends, as you said, that's where their strength is. And you saw 93 Babin doing a loop underneath, and he just beat the exchange in the offensive line and by himself put the pressure on.
3rd down. Western likes to bring an extra rusher or 2. Navarre's pass a little bit too tall for Bellamy, who had Jermaine Lewis on his back anyway, would not have made the first down. Browning, the defensive end, providing some heat. It is 4th down.
One thing that shouldn't catch John Navarre by surprise is Western Michigan will come after you play after play after play. They play, as you said earlier, with 5 defensive backs, mostly a nickel look, but they blitz them almost every play.
Josh Bush back deep to receive this punt from Hayden Epstein. The ball caroms into the end zone, so it'll be 1st down for Western Michigan at the Bronco 20-yard line. Jim Barber, Lloyd Carr had some concerns for his family coming to today's game. Talk about it.
Indeed, Wayne. Lori Carr was scheduled to come to today's game and has, but as of Thursday night, when the Carrs talked at home, Lloyd said to his wife, "You sure do you want to come to this game with all the security concerns?" And she said, "I will not live in fear. I plan on being here today." And today she is here.
Thank you, Jim. 1st down for Western. Ferry-Ogun in motion. Michigan jumping into the neutral zone. Reed going nowhere. Carl Diggs led the charge of Wolverines to the football.
But Jeff Welch has done a nice job of drawing this Wolverine defense off sides. When you're getting your brains beat out back there at quarterback, you're looking for any advantage you can to slow down the pass rush. Snap count is a good way to get a quick 5 yards and also keep those guys back on their heels, make them hesitate a little bit.
Offsides a call once again against Michigan. 2nd time the Michigan defense has been penalized for a violation of the neutral zone. First and 5. Not a very accurate throw there. Diving attempt made, and it's incomplete. Intended for Kendrick Mosley. Underneath the coverage of Victor Hobson, the linebacker.
When we talked about how Welsh will spread the ball around, 12 different receivers on this team. They've only played 2 games. 12 different receivers have made a reception. And we've seen a lot of the dink and dime type of passing, the shorter passing game, but yet they do have 3 receivers that are averaging over 20 yards. So they are capable of making the big play as well.
When they spread the field like this, they try to get a receiver, covered by a linebacker or safety perhaps?
Just a one-on-one match. Not necessarily that, but they'll take advantage of that.
Welsh got a man open. Broken up by Drake. Intended for Micah Zool near the Michigan 45. And a good recovery defensively by Charles Drake.
Boy, that's just what we talked about there. They're looking for the one-on-one matchup. We talked about their ability to go deep. This time, Welch just didn't quite have the protection to get enough under this ball, but boy, Zool was well behind Drake, and as you said, Drake did a nice job of recovering back there. Ball goes right off of his shoulder pads, his helmet, but a little better throw. Could have been 6 for Western Michigan.
3rd down, 5. Set up a little bubble screen. Mosley makes a nice move to get the first down across the 30-yard line. Drake responding on the tackle.
Mosley's a good receiver to run that kind of play. He's a big receiver, 6'3", and when you need 5 or 6 yards for the first down, you got to count on breaking some tackles, and he's big enough, strong enough to be able to break those tackles, and that's what got them the first down there.
Missed most of last year, broke his wrist in their game at Iowa. Missed the rest of the season, but this is a guy they feel he could develop into a go-to guy in the future. Extra help close to the line for Welsh. And I think the official had great coverage on that play, intended for Johnson, Brandon Johnson. Their flag's down. Judging from when they were thrown, I would think perhaps holding in the offensive backfield. Nope. Ineligible downfield.
One thing that Gary Darnell told us yesterday is his team has got to be able to throw the ball to open up the running game. Unlike the traditional thought of the run opens up the pass, the pass has got to work to open up the run.
Ineligible receiver, downfield. The outside receiver was covered up. Penalties decline. 2nd down.
One of those problems that you think happens after the ball is snapped, and really it's not going to be good from the alignment. You're covering up an eligible receiver. That makes him ineligible. He goes downfield thinking he's fine, and he gets criticized. It's the other guy's fault.
The outside receiver should have been flanked, right?
Correct.
Reed in motion, empty backfield on 2nd down. Short drop for Welsh, tried to hit the tight end, Ferry-Ogun, and he was pretty well covered. Drake and Hobson were right there near the 39-yard line.
Ferry-Ogun has been hurt, just came back 2 weeks ago, got into the rhythm a little bit, but this is really the game that they expect him to be back and to really be a contributor. He really is a difference maker. He's got to be a threat in the receiving game. He's a threat as a very good blocker. He's a deep threat as well, and they've really missed him and are glad to have him back.
He had a hand injury. He missed the opener in Illinois State. Just 3 of 9 from this type of distance, in the blitz by Cato June. Welsh cannot evade the rush. It came in waves. Another sack for the Michigan defense. It's their 4th of the day.
Well, as you said, this pressure comes in waves, and here as Welsh is trying to avoid 1 or 2, that disrupts your timing, and then when a defense sees the pressure and the play being disrupted, they just keep coming after him. And again, Welsh has just been under pressure, and wisely doesn't try and force something, but just takes the sack and lives to punt the ball away.
Anderson shanks this one. It gets a Western jump for a moment and is down inside Bronco territory near the 46. Back to the studio, Mike Gleason.
Oh, Wayne Champaign, Louisville at 3-0. Illinois trying to get to 3-0. Kirk Kittner, that's the fullback, Kerry Davis. All eyes on Brandon Lloyd, so Kerry Davis gets a touchdown instead. It's now 10-7, Illinois over Louisville. Wayne?
Hard to get a read, Mike, on Illinois. We saw them impressive at California, struggle to beat Northern Illinois at home, and now today in a battle with Louisville. They'll be playing Michigan next week.
That'll be a big game. Big Ten opener for both teams.
Perry up the middle for a couple. Well, that was an interesting dilemma that had the Michigan athletic department a little on edge earlier this week, in that today was to be the Big Ten opener here at Michigan Stadium between Illinois and Michigan. But when they were able to maneuver schedules, now you had the teams in the right places, but now you had fans planning to come in for this game against Illinois this week.
And it took a lot of maneuvering to get everybody in the right place.
It sure did. Matter of fact, the bands are sitting on the field today for that reason. Penalty marker down as the tackle's made inside the 40-yard line. Lape, the linebacker, on Chris Perry, and again flagged down.
Thrown right in the area of offensive holding.
Chris Perry gets up limping on the play. Holding the call against Michigan.
Michigan has had excellent field position the last two possessions after short Western Michigan punts, but yet penalties and lack of execution.
On the offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat, second down.
You heard their penalties and lack of execution have driven them backwards, and now they have to overcome that penalty, and they're facing now second and long.
Under a minute to go, first quarter. You get the impression, just looking at Lloyd Carr's body language on the sidelines, that he understands that it's going to be a little hit or miss here in this first half, perhaps, for his team.
He's willing to accept that there are going to be some mental breakdowns here early.
Second down. Askew. Running hard, back into Bronco territory to the 49-yard line. Coming in from the secondary, Brandon Brown. Jason Malloy in the linebacking core also there.
Boy, Jason Malloy did a nice job of chasing that play down, coming up and putting a nice hit, and holding that to a pretty short gain.
Red, white, and blue day here at Michigan Stadium. The crowd got back into it, where the Maize and Blues scored first. Wayne Larrabee, Randy Wright, Jim Barber. We start the second quarter with Michigan facing a third down. About 12 yards to go. The 49-yard line, Bronco territory. John Navarre. Got a man open for a first down. Calvin Bell to the Bronco 22-yard line. Joe Ballard and Brandon Brown made the stop. To the studio, Mike Gleason.
Wayne, North Carolina is at home against Florida State, but Ronald Curry's on the bench. This is Darian Durant's little play action. 20-yard strike to Sam Aiken. Dives in. Wow. North Carolina on top of the Seminoles 7-0, Wayne.
Spectacular play, and more, that's won the cockles of the heart of our director and producer here, North Carolina grads. Walter Cross, first carry of the game. Nets about 5 inside the 20-yard line. Let's take a look at the Saturn first quarter stats.
You look at those rushing yards for the Broncos, and all those sacks come off of the rushing yards, but it shows you how they just haven't been able to get anything going. Michigan had pretty good field position for the most part, but look at 4 sacks. Boy, that's an afternoon, much less a quarter.
That'll back you up, won't it? Second down. Bracken's the fullback in motion. Penalty markers down early. Perhaps a procedure penalty coming up against the Wolverines.
Like the left side of the Wolverine line moved while the back was in motion.
Offense. 5-yard penalty remains, second down.
5 penalties, 30 yards against Michigan, and Lloyd Carr is not happy about it now. Let's take a look at the Red Roof Inn red zone proficiency. This season overall on the campaign, not necessarily today, but this season, Michigan touchdowns on 6 of 9 forays into the red zone with 2 field goals.
Well, 8 out of 9 scores is very good. 67% of those mean touchdowns. That's excellent.
You did that math in your head, did you?
Well, but I knew we were going to show that graphic, so I did it early.
Oh, okay. Just trying to set you up, Al. More flags. And these flags aren't red, white, and blue either. They're yellow flags out there.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense. 5-yard penalty remains, second down.
So another false start.
38.
Wolverines with the usual capacity crowd on hand. There was some talk that maybe not everyone was ready to come back for a college football game, but in fact they've got what appears to be one of the bigger crowds they've ever had in this stadium. Expecting close to 110,000. Second down. Askew in the flat. Broke one tackle. Jermaine Forrest made the tackle at the 20, but the tackle he sidestepped was Ronald Rogers.
Well, you can really see the difference between John Navarre and Jeff Welch. Look at the protection that Navarre has. He can look downfield, nobody there. Boy, I can get that ball off to my drop-off there, and B.J. Askew's a pretty good guy to get the ball in his hands and let him take something when he's your third receiver.
Chris Perry went out with what appeared to be a leg injury on the last series for Michigan. Navarre to the end zone for Walker. Bracketed by double coverage, Rogers and Lewis.
Boy, it was excellent coverage, and that's the only thing that stopped that play. Navarre again all day to stand back in the pocket, find his receivers, throw the ball in a nice spot, but just excellent coverage and nothing Marquise Walker could do to get open. And now Michigan is setting up to try and add to their lead, and they had some troubles in this field goal kicking game the game against Washington.
Had a blocked field goal return for a touchdown that helped turn around the game early in the fourth quarter at Washington. Hayden Epstein with a 37-yard attempt, and he's got it perfectly through the uprights. Early going second quarter, Michigan extends its advantage to 10-0 over the Broncos. Welcome back to Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor. Wayne Larrabee along with Randy Wright, Jim Barber. Great to have you with us for this afternoon of Big Ten football. The Wolverines leading by the score of 10-0. Off a Hayden Epstein 37-yard field goal. Here's the kickoff. This one kind of short. Rogers mishandles, but covers near the 22-yard line of Western Michigan. Well, it's been kind of a shaky start for Western Michigan, to say the least. Their quarterback's been sacked 4 times, but penalties have kind of slowed the Wolverines a little bit here today.
Especially on offense. And Western Michigan is not going to change their style. They've been sacked 4 times, but they're going to keep coming at you with the same style of offense. Michigan, maybe a little concentration break as they've had numerous penalties, which have spoiled a couple of their drives.
So Western Michigan returns to the offense as we continue in the second quarter. Michigan's had the better of it, playing on the shorter field. Welsh off play action. A Ferry-Ogun for a first down out to the 32-yard line. Spytek made the stop.
Well, Welsh has a very good, accurate arm when he gets time to throw. Little play action there. Doesn't have a lot of time to look downfield and wants to get the ball out to his tight end quickly. And the key for him, if they can give him time to throw, he can be effective. And if they're going to win, they have got to have an effective, accurate Jeff Welsh at quarterback.
Wolverines into the neutral zone. Nothing doing on the running play, but they're going to pick up some yardage.
Flag first.
On the penalty.
We just talked about the penalties, the lack of concentration here. I think Western Michigan is going to pick up 5 yards again, drawing Michigan off sides.
7 penalties already, and now Lloyd Carr is a little bit impatient with the concentration of his team.
Defense.
Let's get down to the sidelines. Jim Barber.
All right, guys, Michigan has put together a wonderful program in tribute to the victims and their families of the attack on September 11th. It includes a lot of pictures from the gorgeous candlelight vigil that was held on this campus back on September 11th. You can purchase it for $10, and all you have to do is go online at mgoblue.com. Part of those $10 to go for a relief fund.
I believe they say they're going to give $5 to the relief fund for each program sold here today.
I think the program was originally going to be a $5 purchase, and then after the September 11th events, they upped it to 10, put this in there, and then that extra 5 is what's being donated.
Nobody was complaining.
No, I'm sure they'll sell one to everybody who's here.
Second down now. for Western Michigan. Clouds have reached us. The front supposed to move through a little bit later on today. Welsh over the middle. The big tight end, Ferry-Ogun, into Michigan territory for a first down. He did give up the football, but the play had been whistled dead. Eric Brackens, Charles Drake, a gain of 12.
Boy, what a big contribution Ferry-Ogun is already making to this game. You could see why he was so missed when he's been injured. Welsh has a lot of confidence in him. He's a nice big target, 6'4", 240 pounds. He's got very soft hands, and when you have that kind of confidence in your tight end, you want to go to him, especially when you're struggling early, as Welsh has done here today.
First team All-MAC tight end last year. Mobilize Ferry-Ogun. First down for Welsh and company. Little pump fake short. Welsh going deep, going for Bush. He's got it. Touchdown. Whoa, wait a minute. He stepped out of the 7, but what a play. Jeremy LeSueur on the coverage, but that was a great throw and catch. 40 yards.
Boy, you got to give that credit to Josh Bush. He just exploded right by Jeremy LeSueur. And Welsh threw the ball in a position where he could catch it, but Bush keeps his body between LeSueur and the ball. Does a nice job of screening, and the official right there called him out.
I'm not sure he was out.
I agree. I think that first angle we had did not clearly show that he had stepped on the line. The official's right there on it. Regardless, though, excellent field position for the Broncos.
The official was in the right position to see that, but our cameras show that he may have stayed in play. Timeout called by Western Michigan, their deepest foray into Michigan territory today. Gary Darnell and company trailing 10-0. Josh Bush inbounds all the way. He just made the catch, and watch right here.
The left foot right there, questionable, but the official's right on top of it.
Absolutely. And he apparently made the right call. He wasn't able to stop it either.
It's a moot point if they put this in the end zone, but I agree with you.
Vacant backfield behind Welsh. Welsh wanted it on a quarterback draw. Everybody up front for Michigan stayed home. Shante Orr and Norman Hoyer, two of many.
Wayne, if you're going to run a draw, you have to let things develop. You can't rush the fact. The defense has got to think pass. They've got to pass rush. Then you go right through them. That time it looked as though there wasn't enough time to even show the pass, and therefore Welsh had nowhere to go.
Second down. Goal to go. Intercepted. Marlon Jackson. Jackson's going all the way, but he was down back inside the 10-yard line. Marlon Jackson, the true freshman from Sharon, Pennsylvania. But the officials, and I believe correctly so, whistled the play dead where his knee touched. He was down as he made the interception back near the 7-yard line. In college football, you do not have to be touched by a member of the other team to be down.
Where Welsh throws the ball, you've got to rely on your receiver. There you clearly see Jackson catches the ball, goes down, knees on the ground. Good call by the official. You've got to rely on a pass play like that, where it's a timing thing that your receiver is going to get to the ball. You can't wait to see if he's going to get there because the timing's disrupted. Josh Bush that time is just got to beat Marlon Jackson there, or the result's going to be what we just saw, the interception.
John Navarre and company back on the field. And although this may be their worst field position to start a drive, they're happy to be back offensively without the defense having given up a point yet today. 10-0 Michigan. A little over 10 minutes to go, second quarter. Askew trying to make his read, but nowhere to go. Boy, good solid tackle put on the play by Jermaine Lewis. He is a good-looking prospect. Plays more. He's a weak safety, but he plays more like a linebacker.
Exactly. 6'4", he's only 200 pounds, but he's an excellent blitzer and a very fast guy. He's kind of one of those track guys. He's got that track kind of speed and very tall, but very coordinated for his height.
gain of a couple on that play, so it's 2nd and 2 for Michigan. Eric Rosel, the man in motion. Nice catch. And he could not hang on. Seymour got 2 hands on it. Bill Seymour, the 5th-year senior co-captain, or I should stand corrected. Sean Thompson is the tight end who's the co-captain. Bill Seymour, though, is one of the go-to receivers for John Navarre. Just couldn't quite hold on to that one.
It speaks highly, though, of the success and the confidence that Bill Seymour has and the confidence that Lloyd Carr has in him. Sean Thompson hurt the knee last year, was out almost the entire season, is a captain this year, came back, and really it's Seymour that starts and has been very impressive.
He has, and they say Thompson is getting close to 100% now off that knee injury. Suffered it against Bowling Green in the opener a year ago. 3rd down, Michigan. Askew to the short side of the field. Earlier, Michigan may have lost running back Chris Perry, at least for today. Jim, do you have anything further on that injury?
Well, believe it or not, he wants to come back, guys. He's icing down that left knee. It is a sprained left knee, but he wants to give it a go if before this game is over, perhaps sometime in the 3rd quarter. That drive was a lot tougher without him in there.
4th down, punting situation. Takes a Michigan bounce and is down by the Wolverines at the Michigan 47-yard line. So Western Michigan off a 38-yard punt by Adam Finley takes over in enemy territory. Along with Randy Wright and Jim Barber, Wayne Larrivee back at Michigan Stadium. Western Michigan starts this drive in Michigan territory, the 47-yard line. 1st and 10. They wanted to go to Bush on the reverse, and how about the game Larry Foote is having? He is literally living in the backfield of the Broncos here this afternoon.
Boy, these guys for the Wolverines are doing a nice job of seeing the play develop in front of them and coming under control. Once again, as you said, Wayne, they wanted to go with the reverse, but Foote sees it. Early penetration will always destroy any kind of a trick play. And right there, Foote came in and did a nice job of reacting to what he saw.
He had 6 tackles behind the line of scrimmage last week, or 2 weeks ago. He's got 3 already today. 2nd and 17. Little deception there, and Reed finds a nice hole up the middle for a whole lot more. Jeremy Lesor escorts him to the chalk marks at the 17-yard line of Michigan, a 37-yard gallop.
When you're getting penetration, you've got to go to draws and screens, things like that to slow down the pass rush. This was a draw play designed to maybe pick up 8 or 10, but Philip Reed, with his ability to break the tackles and then cut to the outside, made that into a lot bigger play than it could have been. Lloyd Carr's not going to be very happy with some of the lack of tackling on that.
A career-long 37-yard run. Western Michigan threatening again. Welsh has time, drills the middle, touchdown! Micah Zool, the senior from St. Joseph, Michigan.
He came open early, right after the play-action fake. He was wide open. I thought Welsh took too long to get him the ball, but he threw it low. And if you're going to throw the ball laid over the middle, you better throw it low. And it turned out to be a perfect spot. Zool did a nice job of going down and making sure he put both hands on that ball, making a nice catch.
Menchinger for the point after. Bad snap. Good hold. And the kick is good. Wes Dotson did a good job of getting that snap down.
Take a look at this touchdown pass again. Watch Zool come in from the right side of your screen. Right there, he's open, he's open. Oh, then he threw the ball, had to throw it low to get it around Brackens. You throw it late over the middle, keep it there, excellent spot. Zool once again goes down and makes a nice catch. And this time, Western Michigan with good field position. This time they take advantage of it. They had to do something on that drive.
And they did. They jumped right back into it. Marquise Walker, a threat in the receiving corps for the Michigan Wolverines. Time now for We Know You, brought to you by Citgo, proud to support today's athletes, and this was a threat in more ways than one. Desmond Howard, not long ago here in these parts, Heisman Trophy winner. You know what I've always wondered about Desmond Howard? Why wasn't he more of a threat as a wide receiver in the NFL? He's been a great kick returner, MVP of Super Bowl 31, but as a kick returner.
Well, I think he's had the success as a kick returner in the NFL, but as a wide receiver, I'm not so sure he ran the most disciplined routes. And I think in the NFL, it's even more important that you run disciplined routes down to the yard.
Finchingers kickoff. Curry. Make that Charles Drake on the return across the 20 to the Phillips 66 Sports Center in-game studios and Mike Gleason.
Hey, Wayne and Randy, Michael Vick may be gone, but Grant Knoll is 8 for 8, and this is his third touchdown of the afternoon. Terrell Parham, 5 yards, and Virginia Tech 28-0 now over Rutgers. Wayne?
You know, we were talking to the Western Michigan people last night, Mike, and wondering how good is Va Tech? Pretty darn good, aren't they?
They were pretty doggone good. Yes, they did, because this is a pretty good Western Michigan team, and Virginia Tech handled them very well.
First down, Michigan. Navarre, lots of time. Askew in the flat, lots of running room. Tell you what, for a big man, and Askew goes 6'3", 224, Randy. He has very nimble feet.
Well, and that's one of the reasons they have him now at fullback instead of running back, because he's an excellent blocker, but you can get your fullback involved in the passing game so much easier, and they have taken advantage of that today. Askew has been effective coming out of the backfield, not only running the ball, but mostly catching it.
Walter Cross got to the 40 or thereabouts. The white shirts of the Western Michigan defense strung that play out very well. Brian Leif helped to force him out.
Well, you've got to think this Bronco defense is playing with some confidence. The last time they were on the field, they held Michigan to a 3-and-out after the interception, forced the punt. Now their offense put some points on the board, so you'd have to think this defense, which plays a very aggressive, very emotional style, is probably coming out there ready to get back involved.
Advantage Michigan on the ground.
Interested to see what that is without the sack.
Yes, I would too. Navarre going deep. Bell is there. To the Western Michigan 12-yard line. Calvin Bell, and a pretty pass from John Navarre.
Boy, it really does, Wayne, show you how effective your quarterbacks can be when they have time to throw the ball. Long passes take a long time to develop. Navarre has excellent protection, can see the play develop, then just throws a beautiful pass with a lot of touch underneath it. Calvin Bell does a nice job of watching that ball in, timing his stride to catch that ball perfectly.
47-yard pass play. I would say some people are stepping out outside of Marquise Walker in that receiving corps. Navarre. Penalty markers all over the play. He wanted Ronald Bellamy. And the coverage of Joe Ballard a little bit too physical in the end zone.
Well, no question, contact, whether it's holding or interference, it's going to go against Joe Ballard in Western Michigan. You referred earlier, Wayne, to the fact somebody else is stepping up, and Lloyd Carr hadn't been real happy with his receivers other than Marquise Walker, because his comment is, you know what, we get you the ball, but you got to get open. If you don't get open, we can't get it to you. Calvin Bell making an early statement.
Pass interference on the offense. Pass interference on the defense. Those will offset. Replay, first down.
You don't see that call very often.
No, I think obviously we saw why there were 3 flags down, and we're going to miss a little bit here. It's hard to see where the contact
began.
Yeah, and you know what? It could have began right at the snap based on that. So at least they conferred, came up with what they felt was the right decision.
Askew going to the short side. Now we've seen B.J. Askew called to run to the short side of the field on a couple of occasions inside the red zone, Randy. What are they looking for there?
Well, I think he's got excellent vision, and things get a little closer and happen a little quicker when you get down into the red zone area. And I think because of his experience, and he's seen so many different things, I think they just feel he gives them the best option. You also don't involve your fullback so much in the passing game when you get down here, so why not take advantage of Askew and put him at the halfback position, tailback.
2nd and 5. Askew bouncing it. Touchdown. .225-pound B.J. Askew vaulting into the end zone.
Well, we just talked about his vision, play designed to go inside, nothing there. You mentioned earlier his foot quickness and his agility shows that right there as he makes that quick cut to the outside, and then a nice effort to get into the end zone.
Epstein for the point after. And Michigan extends its advantage back to a 10-point lead. B.J. Askew with an 8-yard touchdown run goes airborne for the final 3 yards. God Bless America weekend here at Michigan Stadium. And the Wolverines are doing their part. B.J. Askew, when he scored that touchdown, pointed the flag on his jersey. And he's got Michigan staked to a 10-point lead. And Philip Krabs kicking off. Principal deep back, Ronald Rogers. Rogers from the 2. Still on his feet. One man to beat. And that one man, Jeremy Lesueur, escorts him to the chalk marks on the far side, and flags are down late, maybe for a face mask. 52-yard return. And they may tack a few more onto it.
I think they clearly are. Here you see the setup. You see the wall in front of him. Nice job. Then just the missed tackles. Excellent speed that time. As you saw by Rogers, there's the face mask right there. And you're right, Wayne, they're going to tack a few things on here. But when you get behind your wall, your wedge of blockers, it doesn't take a huge hole for somebody like this to get through. They give him a chance to get the momentum. Then it's just missed tackling.
There's the face mask.
There's the face mask. The last time this Bronco offense had the ball, excellent field position, turned it into a touchdown. Face mask was a big one. This is going to give them excellent field position down at the 32-yard line. And this is an offense that's not going to grow conservative. They're going to keep coming at you. Last time Western Michigan played, their team, tremendous amount of penalties. This time, as you just saw, there are 8 penalties against the Wolverines, and we're still in the first half.
And off the penalty, Jeff Welsh sets up shop at the Michigan 32. 4 receivers set. Bush got a block from Jennings to pick up a couple of more yards down the sideline. Hobson forced him out. Just under 6 minutes to go in this first half. Michigan leading by 10. Let's take a moment to thank another one of our Big Ten corporate partners, WorldSpan. Second down at about 4. Welsh over the middle off the hand of Bush, and he was in traffic. The time he had draped all over him Dan Rumashek, a big defensive end, and Cato June was in the neighborhood as well.
Well, when Michigan gets their back to their own end zone, they're going to start coming after you, and they've been putting pressure on Welsh all day. I think he's expecting that. That ball needs to hold on to that a little bit longer. There really wasn't any pressure. He was under there, and that play needs to develop a little bit more. Threw the ball a little quicker than he had to. Receiver wasn't expecting that, but when you're getting your brains beat out for a quarter and a half, that tends to happen.
Trio of receivers to the top of your screen, one to the bottom, and they've got motion going here. Welsh. First down. Nice tackle made by Todd Howard, but he was beaten by the circle route of Marco Wolverton. Jim Barber, this has been an interesting week to say the least for the head coaches of football teams around the country. How do you prepare your squad in light of what's going on? What did you find out from Western Michigan?
Well, guys, Gary Darnell said the high school football that was played in the Kalamazoo area did a lot for healing in terms of getting guys back focused and feeling a little better about things here in the United States. And as for his football team, believe it or not, he really downplayed the game with Michigan. I don't think he wanted his guys to get too excited. And you're seeing that calm demeanor on the sidelines. It's working well here on the playing field as well.
5 receivers set here.
That's a 5 receiver, 3 linemen. It's a goofy set.
Yeah,
different
really.
set.
And they flinched, so they'll back it up. Well, I thought Coach Darnell made a good point. He said it was the healing process began at the high school level.
Offense. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
With the call. He said, you know, the healing process in terms of getting back to playing football began on the high school level. Town to town, community to community. This week, it's a little bit bigger than that. It's state to state. And tomorrow, of course, in the NFL, the nation returns to pro football. So it was kind of nice he really brought up a nice analogy there. Penalty situation. That was only the first on Western Michigan today. They had 10 last week. Penalty marker thrown. Pass sailed incomplete. Jeff Welsh with a big flak jacket on. He's needed it.
There's another flag here today, and this one may go against Michigan. Nope, it's going to be a hold against Western Michigan. So you commented, Wayne, 10 last week, their first one today, and then 2 plays in a row.
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Now, sometimes you can outsmart yourself, and Western had good field position. They just picked up a first down. Then you try a little trickery. It's something that's a little out of your routine. They have the first penalty for lack of a proper alignment, and now they get pushed back, and then the holding penalty brought on with that. So sometimes you try to do too much and it backfires.
Now it's 1st and 25. Mosley in traffic, going nowhere fast. LeSueur and Drake all over that play.
One thing, Wayne, I think Michigan has excellent speed on their defense, and when you spread them out and you go to 5 receivers, you cause them to go to 5 and 6 defensive backs. There you saw Charles Drake from one of his safety positions come up and make the play, and when you're at 5 receivers, 3 receivers, they go to 5 defensive backs, 6 defensive backs. You give them the opportunity to put more speed on the field, and I think they've really taken advantage of that.
2nd down. Welsh had time initially and now takes a sack back outside the 30-yard line near the 35. 5th sack of the day. Jackson blitzing from his defensive back spot, and Norman Hoyer on the defensive line.
Well, one of the questions that Gary Darnell had, how well will our interior offensive line hold up? They're a stronger team than we are, and if they put pressure up the middle with our 3- and 5-step drops, it's going to be a long day for our quarterback. That's where the pressure came right there. Now Jeff Welsh needs to get his team in field goal range. It's 3rd and 31. Probably not going to pick up the first down. At least give us a chance to get 3.
Another timeout taken by Western Michigan. I believe they are out of timeouts now with 3:46 to go in this first half. So Gary Darnell and company will talk it over. Don't forget, coming up, the Discover Card halftime report with Mike Leeson. Wisconsin and Penn State. Joe Paul going for a milestone victory in that one. Louisville and Illinois, traditional rivals. Plus stats and highlights from this one. Along with Randy Wright, Jim Barber, Wayne Larrabee from Ann Arbor. Beautiful morning, sunshine, and crisp, cool temperatures is giving way to some cloud cover here in the Ann Arbor area. But otherwise, a most pleasant afternoon. This drive began for Western Michigan at the Michigan 32-yard line. It is now backed up to the 35. And if you're thinking first down for the Broncos, they would have to get to the 4-yard line of Michigan. Coming up next week, we will be at Indiana down in Bloomington. Antoine Randall L., who's been split out at wide receiver, but you see him in action as a quarterback here. A Heisman candidate leading the Hoosiers against the Ohio State Buckeyes next week. Check your local listings for the game time in your area. 3rd and long. Welsh tried to hit Bush, threw it behind him. Bush was covered by Hobson and Larry Foote.
A lot of pressure again on Welsh. Michigan coming with blitzes from the outside and good pressure upside. And now without any success, anything going right there, Western Michigan looks like they may even try and go for it here on 4th down. Kind of one of those in between, too close to punt, too far to go for it, but too far for the field goal. But with 4th and 31, boy, that's yeah, this looks like it makes a little more sense.
Welsh trying to hit the corner of the coffin on the far side, and he very nearly did. That hit about the 3-yard line, Randy, and kicked just a bit sideways. Instead of going out of bounds, it went into the end zone.
Did a nice job of just getting that off. There was some pressure up front. Did a nice job of getting it up, and as you said, just so close to getting it right out of bounds in a perfect spot.
Beg your pardon, I believe I said Welsh. That was not Welsh on that punt. That was Wes Dodson who dropped back, number 16. All 14 games against the teams that presently comprise the MAC Conference have been played here at Michigan Stadium. Notice the attendance for that last meeting between Western Michigan and Michigan. Navarre on 1st down. Calvin Bell has stepped up. That's his 3rd reception of the day. Gain of about 6.
Good practice here for the Wolverines. Even though you're up by 10, you start over on your own 20-yard line. You're not in a hurry up yet, but you want to be able to work your 2-minute drill, get yourself out a little bit further, let the clock run down, and then you can go into a 2-minute drill. Important to at least have a rhythm here. Try and get at least 3 points on the board. That's your first thought.
4 receivers set on 2nd down for Michigan. Bellamy's got a 1st down at the 32-yard line, and that stops the clock with 2:55 to go.
You know, Wayne, I don't think that Western Michigan is really doing anything to take Marquise Walker out of the game plan. I don't really see John Navarre looking to Walker near like he did against Washington, or really trying to force the ball in there. I think his reads are taking him in another area, almost his pre-snap reads before he even gets the ball.
Slots it up to the bottom of your screen, and they're running. I ask you hit that hard up the middle. Gain of about 3. Malloy, the linebacker, in to make the stop.
Boy, he hit it pretty hard, but there really wasn't much room there at all. That was a question mark for Western Michigan, the interior of their defensive line and their linebackers. And I'd have to say, so far, though, Michigan hasn't had a lot of success running the ball in the middle. It's been more the wide screen passes and the flare passes to the outside.
Blitz coming. Navarre sidesteps it. Nearly intercepted twice. Ronald Rogers had his hands on it, couldn't hang on. Brandon Brown on the blitz.
Boy, 2 opportunities for Western Michigan to make a big play. First of all, they have Navarre in deadness sights in the backfield and doesn't get the sack. Take a look here. You just got to make this play right there. You can't let the quarterback get away. And then you have the opportunity to make even a bigger play with an interception. So they're 0 for 2. Now, Navarre's not the easiest guy to bring down at 6'6", but you got to come in under control and at least disrupt the play right there. He just ran right by him.
Navarre standing in as long as he can, and he paid the price. Play was whistled dead before the fumble. Brian Lape all over that play, along with Chris Browning.
Western Michigan showing a change of pace here on defense, putting pressure on Navarre 2 plays in a row, and that time got to him.
Bush lets this one go, and it's a tail dragger. Takes a Michigan roll inside the 20, and Western Michigan will begin at the 18-yard line, Bronco territory.
Well, that drive started out for Michigan with what I'm sure Lloyd Carr wanted to see, a few quick passes, a few plays, some positive yards, but then they couldn't handle some of the pressure that Western Michigan threw at them. Now, Western Michigan goes out there thinking almost the same thing. Minute and a half to go. We've got a quick rhythm offense. We're capable of making some big plays. Let's not give up a sack. Let's not turn the ball over, but let's see if we can move this ball down here and at least get in field goal range.
So Welsh takes over at his 18-yard line. No timeouts left for Western. Ferry-Ogun could not hang on. Larry Foote, the principal defender. Was that pass just a little bit behind on his back hip?
A little bit, but Ferry-Ogun usually will make that catch, and the ball was, you know what? It was a little behind. It was inches, and that ball you got to catch, and you got to make that play. Fortunately, as that ball got tipped up, it wasn't intercepted.
Welsh put the ball where it needed to be.
You got to throw him in the body when you throw him over the middle. That's right where that one was.
3 receivers set. Nice hole. Reed across the 30. He's had a couple of good runs here this afternoon now. Taylor June, John Shaw on the stop, 16 yards there.
You know, Wayne, he's not a real power runner. He's good size, 200 pounds. He's got good speed, not great speed. He's not a real power runner, but he's shown more power than what I thought he had.
Yeah, it's funny. He's not a power style runner, but he's a very strong kid. Benches well over 400 pounds. Nice catch made there by Kendrick Mosley. Did he get out of bounds? Minute 12 to go. Apparently he did to stop the clock.
Well, it's one thing in the college game, when you don't have any timeouts, it doesn't hurt you near as much as long as you're getting the first downs. It stops the clock a lot, gives you a chance to get that offense up there. Western Michigan is used to that with the style of offense and the quick rhythm that they run.
Second down and about 3 yards to go. Good protection. Intercepted by Todd Howard. Pass appeared to be off the mark, intended for Darnell Jennings. I'm not sure if there was miscommunication there, Randy, or not.
I don't know. I think it was just a poorly thrown ball. Here, there's good protection, and his receivers were not wide open, but sometimes they're not going to be wide open. You got to put the ball in spots where only your guys can catch it, especially when you're throwing the ball deep. And that just wasn't a wise decision to throw the ball there, and turned out to be a big play for Michigan now.
Michigan has all 3 of its timeouts. The freshman, Braylon Edwards, first catch of the day, a true freshman out of Detroit. Ronald Rogers steers him out. Michigan is in Western Michigan territory at the Bronco 49 off a gain of 16 yards.
Nice job by John Navarre recognizing the uncovered receiver and getting the ball to him quickly. Edwards wide open. Western Michigan wasn't set defensively, and what should have been a 4 or 5 yard play turned into a big one.
Stan Parrish, the offensive coordinator, says that Braylon Edwards, watch him. He could be special someday. Navarre takes it himself. John Navarre's a tough kid. He was a high school defensive end before deciding to concentrate on quarterback. So he's got a certain amount of toughness to him.
He got a toughness, but I think he made the right decision. Changing over to this side of the ball. And Lloyd Carr has been impressed with the way he's developed, even though the Washington game was a loss and the touchdown was an interception return for a touchdown. It wasn't necessarily a bad throw.
It was off the hands of Chris Perry.
Chris Perry basically bobbled the ball up, but Navarre really grew up in that game. Lloyd Carr said, you know, he's going to make mistakes. He's a young quarterback. All young quarterbacks have ups and downs. We don't want to see the same mistakes consistently made, and he's going to develop as a leader, and you have to develop the confidence before the rest of that's going to happen.
To get inside the huddle of your favorite Big Ten team, go online at www.big10.org for all the football and conference news from around the Big Ten. I believe they pronounce that org.
Org?
You're computer illiterate, much more so than I am.
Yeah, you know, you just keep, you just can't figure anything out on your own.
Not at all. I rely on the people around me. Sometimes the supporting cast is better than other times, but I always rely on it. Second and short. Going deep. Walker, touchdown! They've had a lot of great receivers here at Michigan in Lloyd Carr's 7 years, and Marquise Walker is fast becoming one of them.
But when you have somebody else step up, now the defense has to start looking in other areas. They forget about Marquise Walker just in time for him to step up and make a big play. But what a beautiful pass by Navarre. Laid that ball out there perfectly.
Right down the boulevard with the extra point from Hayden Epstein. Marquise Walker, 40-yard touchdown play.
There's not a lot of imagination in this route. I'm just going to run right by Jermaine Lewis. And then he does a nice job of watching that ball all the way in. And here's Navarre looking to his left the whole way. Now Walker's even with him, laid up there and puts beautiful touch on it. And it just turns out to be a nice play. But, oh, geez, what a nice throw to get that ball to Walker.
Jim Hart, the old Cardinal quarterback, used to say you got to put some air under that play. Jim Barber, what do you have for us?
Guy Stan Parrish was telling us yesterday how John Navarre, as a sophomore quarterback, relying a little bit too much on him and wants to kind of cut the apron strings. I think we're starting to see some of that here in the second quarter. Likes to judge his quarterbacks as to whether they look him in the eye. And perhaps Navarre will be doing a lot more of that here at halftime when the quarterback and the offensive coordinator convene at halftime.
Well, Jim, when you're doing things the right way on the field, you got nothing to hide, and it's a lot easier to look your coach in the eye when that's the case. And I agree with you. I think Navarre has really done a nice job here, picking the right man and then making the right throw.
It is Hayden Epstein who will kick off now. Ronald Rogers bobbles it, has to step back to pick it up. Doesn't make the 20-yard line. 39 seconds to go in this first half, and Michigan in front now by a big margin of 24-7. Western with no timeouts remaining, and I'm not sure Gary Darnell is going to let Jeff Welsh get too creative here.
No, I don't think that they're going to take any risks right here. 24-7. They've had some opportunities offensively. They haven't taken advantage of near enough of them. I think they want to go in and regroup and come back out and be a little more efficient in the second half.
This is the first time, it's believed, in the history of Western Michigan that the Broncos on the football field, as Reed gets the call, have played two ranked opponents on consecutive football weekends. Virginia Tech 2 weeks ago, Michigan this week.
It not only good teams, obviously, with being ranked, but physical teams.
Yes.
When you're playing physical teams, when a MAC school plays a bigger school, one of the things you question is, do we get beat up physically? And when you're playing two good teams like that are physical, then you even get beat up more.
Well, that time, Jake Freisinger reached over and made contact.
Well, I can tell you one thing Lloyd Carr's going to talk about at halftime, and that is watch the ball, guys.
Offside, defense, made contact, 5-yard penalty, result of the penalty, first down.
Coaches just hate to see that, and Jim Herman has got to be fuming. Jim Herman, the defensive coordinator, has got to be fuming because that's a lack of discipline, a lack of concentration, and you just hate to see that as a coach and your players.
And the first half winds to a close. Well, Michigan sputtered a little bit early, but got on track offensively, and some big plays have led to a 17-point halftime advantage on a red, white, and blue day here at Michigan Stadium. The studio coming up next with a halftime report.
Welcome to today's halftime report, brought to you by Discover Card, for the slightly smarter consumer. Well, Tom Izzo's basketball team has grabbed most of the spotlight on the Michigan State campus in recent years. The women's golf team hasn't had any problem making their own mark on Spartan history. There's one Spartan golfer in particular who's been busy rewriting the MSU record books.
Last spring, senior Emily Bastel of the Michigan State women's golf team accomplished something the school hasn't achieved in almost 2 decades. The Spartans brought home the Big Ten title. Bastel, a 3-time All-Big Ten selection, had a preview of being a champion after winning the individual crown in 2000. then returned with her squad the following year to lead them to the Big Ten team title.
They were both very different experiences. I'd have to say winning individually was good for me. It was my first win in college, and I guess if you wanted to liken it to the Pro Tour, it was like winning a major in your first tournament. But winning as a team, you know, these are the girls I hang out with all year long, and we practice together, and you know, to do it as a team, it was definitely more exciting.
Bastel started her career at MSU with a bang and hasn't looked back since. She earned Big Ten Freshman of the Year, leading the team in 6 tournaments, and finished the season with a 77.36 stroke average, the second best in school history. After such a stellar start, Stacy Slobodnik knew she had recruited someone special.
She was looking for a place where she could make an impact. And at that time, that really hit home with me because I was looking for a player who could make an impact. And I knew that I needed a good player like her. She had excelled at the AJGA level and at the junior level, and I knew that she could be the next piece to the puzzle that I needed to have a championship program.
In just 3 years, Bastel is already considered one of Michigan State's most decorated golfers. She's broken nearly every record in the Spartan books, including a career average of 76.07 strokes and a single season best, 75.24 this past spring. And she still has another year to drive herself deeper into MSU history.
Her golf game is every year moving to a new level, and that half of that battle is her own goals and dreams and what she wants to do with her future career in golf.
I've come a long way with my game in the past 4 years, which has been, you know, tremendously rewarding for me, and to have all those honors and awards, you know, on top of becoming a better golfer is just, you know, really, you know, just been so exciting.
With everything she's accomplished this far, Bastel will go down as one of the best Spartan athletes in school history.
I'd just like to be remembered as someone who, you know, loved Michigan State and loved women's golf, and just, you know, a hard worker, and, you know, to prove that anybody who is willing to work hard can do whatever they want.
Time now for our look at Nourishing Potential, brought to you by Cargill. Each week we pick a senior who has achieved his potential, like Purdue wide receiver Tim Stratton. Heading into the weekend, Stratton is 2 catches shy of 150, averaging nearly 11 yards a catch, while 13 of his receptions have gone for Boilermaker touchdowns. Cargill, because the better we are fed, the more we hunger to achieve. We'll be back with today's highlights and scores from other games from around the country when the Discover Card halftime report continues right after these messages. Welcome back to today's halftime report, brought to you by Discover Card, for the slightly smarter consumer. In the wake of last week's national tragedy, suddenly it seemed totally superfluous whether or not Joe Paterno would get his 323rd victory, which would tie Bear Bryant's all-time 1A record. But heading into their game with Wisconsin, Penn State was a little concerned. The Badgers had 3 games under their belts, while the Nittany Lions had played just once all season. But at least their first 2 games were at home in State College. So let's pick it up. Joe Paterno looking on, but Joe Pa watching Wisconsin score first. Brooks Bollinger to tight end Markinelli, only 3 yards, but it caps off a 9-play, 61-yard march. They missed the extra point. Badgers up 6-0. It's 12-0 now. Ball on the 41-yard line. Zach Mill rolling to his right, gets nailed, and he coughs up the football. Wisconsin gets it there. It's still 12-0 in State College. 3rd quarter underway. It's still 12-zip Badgers. The Badgers have won 4 of the last 6 in the series. The last one 24-3. Penn State hasn't started 0-2 in back-to-back seasons since 1964-65. Akron and Purdue. It's only a 3-point ball game. Interesting, because Purdue, they've beaten their last 2 MAC opponents by a combined total of 93-10. Of course, it's been 20 days since Purdue opened against Cincinnati. They were supposed to play Notre Dame last week. All time at home under Joe Teller, the Boilermakers are 21-3. Illinois at home in Champaign, entertaining an unbeaten Louisville club today. We'll pick it up 3rd and 14, 24-yard line. Dave Ragone to Deion Branch. This one goes 70 yards for the touchdown. Louisville takes a 7-3 lead. Of course, Illinois barely getting past Northern Illinois. Louisville up 7-3. Illinois 1st and goal at the 9-yard line. Kirk Kittner, Kerry Davis, the fullback out of the backfield. 11-yard touchdown. It's 10-7 Illinois. It's 10-7 Louisville. 3rd and 7, 23-yard line. Christian Morton, the former quarterback, the former Missouri Player of the Year, takes the interception in for the touchdown. It's 17-7. Ron Turner told Christian Morton that he couldn't even get him a tryout at quarterback in the National Football League, but if he plays cornerback, the scouts will be lining up in a couple of years, and that's exactly why. It's 17-10 right now. Louisville on top. The Illini looking for their third straight 3-0 start. Buckeyes and UCLA from the Rose Bowl. The Big Ten is 0-4 against ranked teams this year. UCLA has dropped 4 of the last 5 against Big Ten teams. Both teams looking to change those stats in the Rose Bowl today. Deshaun Foster, 299 yards on the ground in his first 2 starts. Northwestern and Duke. Duke trying to snap the nation's longest losing skid at 14. The Wildcats had to score 28 second-half points against UNLV, plus come up with 2 goal line stands to get the W. The Cats gave up over 400 yards to the Rebels in that game. Also, coming up, Michigan State, Notre Dame. The Irish haven't started 0-2 since '86. They've dropped 4 straight to the Spartans, 2 in a row in South Bend. The last time Michigan State beat Notre Dame 5 straight was back in the 1959-63 season. Against Nebraska, the Irish managed a meager 43 yards on the ground on 30 carries. That one kicks from South Bend at 2:30 this afternoon. And the Hoosiers looked less than impressive in a loss to North Carolina State to open up the 2001 fall. Now, after hosting the Utes, they gear up for Ohio State to open their Big Ten season next Saturday. Game you'll see right here on ESPN+. Moving to Lexington, Kentucky, where the Wildcats have a crack at number 2, Florida. Rex Grossman warming up for the game, but Grossman here takes a hit, coughs up the football. Dennis Johnson recovers for the Wildcats. First quarter, Grossman regains his composure, play action, plenty of time, right down the middle, 29 yards. Jabbar Gaffney on the receiving end. It's 7-0 Gators on top, and the Gator D looking pretty good here too. Kentucky went for it on 4th and 1. Andra Davis with this stuff, and it's still 7-0, but right now it's 13-3. Florida on top in the second. 7:08 to go before halftime. The Gators have won the last 14 games in the series, averaging over 57 points in their last 7. But again, it's only a 10-point game from Lexington. 5th-ranked Florida State also on the road. ACC battle with North Carolina. Bobby Bowden going for 318. Darian Durant in for Ron Curry. Play action, 21 yards to Sam Aiken. Check it out. He goes up and over for the touchdown. Tar Heels on top of Florida State, 7-0. Nick Maddox with the fumble on the handoff. Things aren't looking too good at this point until the Seminoles come back. Rex lets one fly, 29 yards. Tallman Gardner all alone for the touchdown. That ties it up at 7-7, and right now it's 9-7 at halftime in Chapel Hill. The Noles, who have been hit hard with injuries this year, have taken the last 5 games in the series by a 177-40 margin. Last year putting 63 on the board. Carolina has given the football away 11 times already going into the ball game. Ronald Curry hitting only on 34% of his passes, no touchdowns, but as you can see, Durant leading the way for Carolina there. In the Big East, number 9 Virginia Tech in New Jersey to tangle with Rutgers today. Early in the first quarter, Rutgers already having problems. Brian Welch, the linebacker, with the pick, and he takes it back inside the 5-yard line. 2 plays later, Keith Burnell takes it in for the touchdown. He sweeps the right side, cuts it back. Hokies on top, 7-0. Only the beginning. Emmett Johnson, his 4th touchdown reception already, 17 yards from Grant Nowell, and then Terrell Parham. Parham with a touchdown. Hokies up 28-0. Grant Nowell hit his first 8 passes for 3 touchdowns. 28-0 at halftime. The Hokies going for their 9th straight in the series. Virginia Tech has given up a mere 10 points this year, none in the last 9 quarters. Boston College and Navy, it's 28-14 right now. William Green, a 58-yard touchdown run for BC. He leads the Big East in rushing with 153 yards a game. Green also with a 13-yard scoring reception. Kent State, West Virginia, it's 6-0 West Virginia on top. Avon Coburn, the number 2 rusher in the Big East, had 173 yards against Ohio University. He needed 64 going into the game today to move up to the number 4 spot. West Virginia averaging 35 points a game in their last 3 wins over Kent State, but again, it's only 6-0 there. In the Big 12, R.C. Slocum, the Aggies of Texas A&M, looking for a 3-0 start, going up against Oklahoma State. Texas A&M, it's Keith Joseph, 2 yards. A&M on top, 7-0. Second quarter, Terrence Robinson right now with a big interception right here. And he brought it down to the A&M 10-yard line. Sets up a 1st and goal. Tatum Bell sweeps the left side, breaks to the outside, and gets in just inside the pylon. That's 10 yards for the touchdown. Ties it up at 7-7. That's where they stand right now. Second quarter, 55 seconds to go before halftime. Aggies, as I mentioned, are 2-0, but with victories over McNeese State and Wyoming, R.C. Slocum says they were not all impressive in either game. This is the Big 12 opener for both schools. Halftime in our ball game this afternoon, the Broncos of Western Michigan trailing Michigan 24-7. We'll send you back out to Ann Arbor right after this.
A stunning performance here at halftime by both the Michigan Marching Band and the Western Michigan Bronco Marching Band. And the crowd appreciates here on an emotional weekend in Ann Arbor. Well, I'll tell you something, as you take a look at what's going on around these players over the course of the last 2 weeks, Randy, we did see some evidence that maybe the concentration wasn't quite there. Michigan, I believe, 10 penalties in that first half. Nonetheless, they made the big plays.
Well, they did, and they made them at the key times, both offensively and defensively. And I think you have to expect that. We commented during the first half, I think both coaches were going to go into it with a little higher acceptance level to, we're not really sure what kind of attitude or how we're going to get this production from this team or what they're going to do, and maybe they just go into it. We'll just kind of take it from there.
I would say by the 8th penalty, Lloyd Carr had lost patience.
Well, I think that was probably a discussion he had with his team.
Let's take a look at the Discover Card first half highlights, and we had some big plays, entertaining plays in the first half of the ball game. First off, Jeff Welsh under pressure early and often 4 sacks by Michigan in the first quarter. B.J. Askew sets up his blocking well here on the first score of the day.
Well, this is a big play that got Michigan going. They got the ball into their back. That can make those things happen. And a big play right here for Western Michigan. Steps out of bounds right there. Could have led to some points, but the very next play was the interception, and then Michigan comes back to Marquise Walker. Beautiful pass and catch, which gives them the lead at 24-7.
That's where we stand at halftime. The Michigan Wolverines, with a couple of late scores in the second quarter, have moved out to a 17-point lead at halftime. Third quarter and first half stats coming up next. Along with Randy Wright, Jim Barber, Wayne Larrivee back in Ann Arbor. Michigan leading as we get set to start the third quarter of play. First half stats. Michigan, the big plays leading to almost 8 yards per play average. The 2 turnovers hurt the Broncos. Penalties, 9 penalties against Michigan, kind of dogged them a little bit, but again, able to make up for it with the big plays.
And Wayne, those 5 quarterback sacks, that's by Michigan's defense, which has put the Broncos in second and third and long numerous times.
Robert Menchinger from Elkhart, Indiana, redshirt freshman, kicking off. Marlon Jackson on the far side. On the near side, Todd Howard. Sunshine has given way to overcast skies here in Ann Arbor. Line drive kick pounding across the 10. It is Howard. Short of the 20-yard line. Good coverage by the Broncos. Individually in the first half. Welsh, the 2 interceptions hurt, but he was getting battered early and often in that first quarter. Reed had a couple of nice runs. Navarre was solid throughout. And who's stepping up around Marquise Walker in the receiving game for Michigan? Bell and Askew.
Different kinds of things, too. And just as those guys step up, Askew out of the backfield, Bell's made a couple of big plays. But then right after that, when you think that that's where they're going, Marquise Walker comes up with the big 40-yard touchdown reception.
There was a penalty on that kickoff, and they're going to have to do it again. And it wasn't on Michigan, and Lloyd Carr is happy about that. It was on Western Michigan.
Well, that is a little bit different.
Several of the penalties against Michigan right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, and those are the lack of concentration penalties that we talked about. They're not really the aggression type of penalties. Coaches can usually deal with those. They don't like to see the concentration slip.
This will be the true freshman Marlon Jackson. Kept his footing after absorbing a hit at the 19. He was able to spin his way up near the 26 or 27-yard line. So does first down for Michigan.
Lloyd Carr talked about how much John Navarre really developed and grew up in the Washington game. got into his rhythm, did some nice things, and I think he's pretty much picked that up in this game. And that was something that Lloyd Carr needs to see him develop with. Still a young quarterback, as we talked about, but now with the lead, you got to be able to protect it and play smart. I'm sure that's one of the things he's going to be looking at with Navarre in this half.
B.J. Askew leads it off. First plunge of the second half, out to the 30, gain of a couple of yards. Chris Perry suffered what was described to us as a bruised left knee in the first quarter of the ball game, and we haven't seen him since, although Jim Barber reported that Chris wanted to go right back in there, but the medical people got the better of that say. Askew, power and speed. To the 40-yard line of Western Michigan, a 30-yard gain. Rogers and Lewis made the stop, a touchdown-saving tackle.
Boy, you just got to be impressed with the ability B.J. Askew has. The vision to see the hole, the ability to get through it. Excellent blocking up front, especially by his tight end right there, 83 Joparu. But look how he just can see that, can burst away, and he runs so smoothly. It doesn't look like he's going that fast.
Cross. Stacked up a bit. Malloy, the linebacker, came through to put the finishing touches on that tackle. Gain of maybe a yard. We talked about it during our discussions with the coaches. This Michigan offense, Randy, you would figure will get better. I mean, let's be honest. B.J. Askew, Chris Perry, Walter Cross, they didn't have a lot of experience coming in because there was a fellow by the name of the A-Train, Anthony Thomas here, who did the bulk of the ball carrying for this team. Plus on the offensive line, the Wolverines have replaced four-year starters in their line this year. Navarre, Seymour, the tight end, to the 35-yard line. And Jim Barber, you had an opportunity to talk with Lloyd Carr. What did he say at halftime?
It's a very unhappy Lloyd Carr, guys. Even though his team's up 17, he said the play in the first half inexcusable. Penalties ridiculous. We played like a football team that had been off for a period of 2 weeks. He did tell me he thought John Navarre's play in the second quarter much better than the first. He's standing in there, getting himself in position to throw the football, likes his follow through. But he wasn't a happy guy. Of course, he will be without Chris Perry for the rest of this game due to the sprained knee. And he wants to see a little bit better fundamental football in the second half.
Navarre, Askew, short of the first down. So it'll be fourth down for Michigan. Ronald Rogers had the coverage. Well, can you imagine how Lloyd Carr would be if he was down 17 with all those penalties?
And fortunately, if you have that number of penalties, usually you are down, or at least you're not up by 17. But key mistake right there. John Navarre had B.J. Askew open, doesn't hit him in stride, falls down and doesn't get the first down. And now this is why they're in this fourth down predicament. But because of the quick timing right here, forces Western Michigan to use one of their timeouts.
Yep. So first time out of the second half. Gary Darnell and company will get their alignment set when we resume. Back in Michigan, that's Stan Parrish, the offensive coordinator of the Wolverines. He's done a great job with the quarterbacks in this program under Lloyd Carr. Several of them are playing on Sundays now.
That's a good point.
Fourth down, Michigan 2 of 3 on fourth downs this season, and they get it here to the old reliable tight end, Bill Seymour, fifth-year senior out of Granger, Indiana. I mentioned earlier, he and Navarre have developed a little bit of a rapport. It's kind of a chemistry, Randy, something like what you had with Al Toon back in your Wisconsin days.
Well, it's natural that you just develop that kind of rapport with one of your receivers. But even here, a little better pass. Seymour is wide open, and there's nothing but green grass between himself and the goal line. Take your time, get the ball out there, hit him in stride. That would have been a touchdown, not just a first down.
First down at the 25. Walter Cross had a sliver of a hole off the left side of the offensive line, and Brian Lape, the linebacker, a junior out of Jackson, Michigan, made the stop. He had a big fourth down tackle at Virginia Tech last week early in that ball game.
When you talked about some of the backs that Michigan has had, and whether it's been B.J. Askew or Chris Perry, Walter Cross, a senior who hasn't really been used that much throughout his career, the big advantage that Anthony Thomas had last year, as you mentioned, was those four-year starters in the offensive line. What a stand those guys had and a career they had here.
This is Underwood, a freshman, a penalty marker down early in the play. David Underwood, a true freshman from Madisonville, Texas. I believe I said Michigan was replacing four-year starters in their offensive line. That's not quite true. The four-year starters they're replacing are Steve Hutchison and Jeff Backus along the offensive line, and both are starting for NFL teams now.
They replaced 4 starters, but all of them were not 4-year starters.
No, just those 2. And those are 2 of the best to play here. Michigan's always had great offensive linemen. Here's the call from the official, Dennis Lipsky.
Illegal shift on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat. Second down.
You can go all the way back to the days in the early 70s. Dan Deerdorf played here at Michigan.
Well, that's one of the things that they've been able to do is develop those offensive linemen, and then just like last year, they got to a point where they knew they could do anything they wanted to do offensively. This year, they're going to have to develop into that, and they're still getting some answers to some of the questions that they're still asking at this point.
On a delay, Askew. Boy, does he have great vision. All the way to the end zone. Touchdown. 26 yards.
Well, you don't have to give B.J. Askew much, and as you said, Wayne, just great vision to see. There's the hole to the left. It fills up. He sees it open back to the right, and then when you've got the ability to make those moves, and he's such a smooth runner, you don't have to give that guy much to get something big out of it.
Epstein's extra point is good, and Michigan enjoys its biggest lead of the afternoon with 10:50 to go in the third quarter. B.J. Askew from 26 yards away, his second touchdown of the day. Scored on the ground twice, through the air once. 3 touchdowns on the day for Askew, his first 3-touchdown game in his Michigan career. 3 touchdowns today, and I mentioned that one of them through the air, 2 by land. Philip Brabs set to kick off. Michigan leading 31-7. Rogers decides to down it, take it to the 20-yard line. Jim Barber, what do you have for us?
Gary Darnell, and missed opportunities in the first half. Wayne and Randy talking about his Western Michigan team. Did a lot of good things, but because Michigan was doing a lot of blitzing in the first half, they didn't pick up on the blitzes. He says if we can do a better job of protecting our quarterback in the second half, some good things will happen. So let me see if I understand this. Gary Darnell wasn't unhappy with his team and optimistic, and Lloyd Carr was unhappy and rather pessimistic. That's coaches, huh?
That's football.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's football.
The sledding has been tough for the most part for Reed, who's made a couple of good runs here today, but not much there.
No, Wayne, and even the runs that he has made, they've been mostly on his own. There hasn't been much room, and he's gotten through it and broken some tackles, but on a consistent basis, Michigan's pretty well shut that run down.
You know, when we talked to Gary Darnell last night, he mentioned the fact that he felt the big disparity in Big Ten schools and MAC schools was right between the tackles in the middle of the offensive and defensive lines. And I think that's been borne out here today. Bush roped down by Victor Hobson. And it'll be third down coming up for Western Michigan.
I mean, to elaborate on your point, that has been a big difference. And I think you talk to most MAC school coaches and they'll tell you it's depth. We don't have the number of good players that the big schools have. He didn't really seem to think that was the case with his team. They've got quite a few players and a large number that they thought were solid players who could step in there and play, but it's the strength in the interior lines, both offensively and defensively, and Michigan has dominated there.
3rd and 2. Good protection. A Ferriogan for a first down. The big tight end able to shake free in the secondary, and Charles Drake brought him down at the Michigan 48-yard line.
Jeff Welch is not unlike most quarterbacks. If you're going to give him time to throw the ball, he can throw it very accurately and choose the right receiver. This is a nice touch on the ball. Go into his key tight end that is obviously glad to have back. Been a big part of the game plan here today, but if you don't give Welch the time to throw, no quarterback's going to be effective.
Welch, that time overshot Ferriogan. Got a little bit of pressure coming up from the defensive line. Romashek was there. Lazarus was chasing him as well.
Well, sometimes when you run a play and the couple previous times to running that, you've turned around off of that fake bootleg and you've had somebody right in your face, you kind of anticipate that. And this time when you turn, there's nobody there, you really don't know what to do because you're expecting to get hit.
4 receiver set. Reed the lone back. Reed gets the call and ran into a wall of blue-clad Michigan defenders. Stevens on the bottom of the pile. Shante Orr and Norman Hoyer also in on that stop.
Well, you've called a lot of names in the maize and blue today, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And that's one of the things Jim Herman has said is they have a lot of depth back there. A group of 9 linebackers, and there's a pretty good one right there in Larry Foote. But really, any one of the 9 can be out there, and he feels pretty good about it.
3rd and about 9, blitz coming. They pick it up. Jennings on the catch for a first down to the Michigan 30-yard line to the studio, and Mike Gleason.
Wayne and Randy, Florida State in the series 11-0-1 against North Carolina. Right now they trail. Darian Durant, almost the same play before he scored. That's a second touchdown pass for Durant, 55 yards. Chelsea borders. It's now 17-9 Carolina. Let's go back to Ann Arbor.
Wow. They must think it's a basketball game.
Did you see? Maybe they did. Maybe Florida State sent the basketball team this weekend. The tight end of Ferriogan down to the Michigan 20-yard line. Diggs makes the stop in the linebacking core. You could just about count the number of losses by Florida State in ACC play in one hand over the years.
It doesn't take long. Like you said, it's one hand and it's a quick count. But here, Western Michigan, what you want to try and do, Wayne, just get back into your rhythm now. You're down 31-7.
Yep.
You've given up a lot of sacks, a lot of pressure on your quarterback. Start doing the things that you concentrate on and don't let the game dictate it. Just try and move the ball. Move the chains, then move the ball.
Oh, good decisive throw. Mike Azul inside the 5-yard line.
Well, that's the approach I think Jeff Welch has had this drive. He's throwing the ball with confidence. Like you said, a nice decisive throw. Had his man wide open, and Mike Azul, again, makes a nice catch over the middle. But a little different Jeff Welch this drive. Confident, getting time to throw the ball. His offensive line doing a nice job of picking up the pressure, and he's throwing it accurately.
1st and goal. Short drop by Welsh. Quick throw in traffic. Nicely done. Brandon Johnson, the touchdown reception. 4-yard touchdown play. Looked like Todd Howard on the coverage.
Boy, what a nice job of execution by Jeff Welsh and Brandon Johnson. Welsh drops back, quick 3 steps, delivers the ball, gets it low so Johnson can catch it in his body, and just throws a spot. And boy, I tell you, that was pretty good coverage. Howard was right on him, and the only way you defend that is you don't let the receiver get to the inside. But once Johnson got position, there was nothing Howard could do.
Menchinger for the point after. Right down the boulevard. So the visitors from Kalamazoo, something to cheer about on this star-spangled weekend at Michigan Stadium. Western Michigan with its 2nd touchdown drive of the game. 7 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. And again, it's a 17-point Michigan lead. An impressive 80-yard, 9-play drive. Jeff Welsh was 6 of 7, 79 yards on that drive.
No sacks on that drive. Give him time to be effective, and he do the job.
That's the case with a lot of quarterbacks.
It is. It is. That's why it's a team game, especially offensively.
Good short kick. Marlon Jackson. This kid's going to be exciting too. Well, it's been the B.J. Askew Show. Through the air and by land.
Well, I've been impressed with him. Not only his ability once he has the ball in his hands, but the vision and the way they get him involved as a blocker, fullback, as a carrier from the fullback position, as a carrier from the tailback position. He's got that vision, and he's a wonderful receiver too. So yeah, I don't ever think you lose an Anthony Thomas and you don't miss him, but I tell you, it sure does make it a lot easier when you have a guy like B.J. Askew.
Navarre screens it out. Oh, that time B.J. got nailed. He was labeled by Jermaine Lewis. We're at Michigan Stadium. Over 109,000 on hand here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Along with Randy Wright and Jim Barber, I'm Wayne Larrabee, and it's good to have you along for Big Ten football. To the sidelines and Jim Barber.
All right, thank you, Wayne and Randy. Bill Martin, one of the busiest athletic directors in the country, AD at the University of Michigan, was asking him earlier today how things are going, and he said, well, got to figure out what day it is. This has been a very traumatic and at the same time somewhat healing last couple of weeks.
Today was, I think, the culmination of a healing process. I think everybody wanted to come to Michigan today to show that they wanted to get their lives back to normal. But you're absolutely right. Ever since September the 11th, that Tuesday, the life of Michigan athletics, and I'm certain every other campus athletic department, has been turned upside down. I'm just so pleased that we were able to work out the details to hold this game against Western here today. Another state school. They haven't played Michigan since the 1940s. It's taken them over 60 years to get back on our schedule, and we got them here today, and it's just a great day for college football. It's a great day for America, and we're all excited that we're here.
Many concerns about security coming into this stadium. What can you tell us as to what has progressed so far today?
Well, I think you can tell to begin with that you don't hear the roar of airplanes overhead. We were able, working with the FAA, to get a ban on all airplanes, not only banner towing airplanes, but all air traffic over Michigan Stadium. And we got that last Thursday, and as soon as we got it, so many of the other schools in the country also wanted to ban the planes, that the FAA just banned planes from on top of all college stadiums, and we're proud that we could play a role in that process.
All right, thank you, Bill, and I know it's Bill's efforts to have that continuing with the FAA ban throughout the entire season for the University of Michigan. Wayne, Randy?
Well, more problems in the punting game for Michigan. Nick Melcher blocks the punt.
Pressure coming from all over here, Wayne, and you see Melcher coming right up the middle and just gets his hand up there and blocks it. But what you said rings so true. More problems in the kicking game. Here, second look on the block. Not enough blue jerseys around. Had Western Michigan pick that up and run it in, but either way they get excellent field position.
Adam Finley, the punter, and he didn't have much of a chance. That pressure came right at him up the middle.
And it came from other areas also. Melcher was just the first one to get there.
Welsh takes a sack. Back outside the 40-yard line.
Well, how many times do you see a team, certainly like Michigan, where something bad happens, they come right back and try and be aggressive and force the action? There, nothing really special going on. Victor Hobson just beats his man and comes up with a big play. Hobson, along with Larry Foote, the two linebackers, maybe the most consistent players Michigan's defense has had this year.
How about the sack total today? Welsh, good protection this time. Pulls it down. Lets it go. Incomplete. Diving attempt made by Micah Zool.
Wayne, I think the pressure that Michigan is putting on Welch is even more impressive when you consider the kind of offense that Western Michigan runs. That quick rhythm, 3-step, 5-step, get rid of the ball. I think their defensive backs are doing an excellent job at jamming the receivers to the line of scrimmage, which is disrupting the timing. But I think the push that they're getting in the interior line has just been overwhelming.
Well, the word on Jeff Welch is that he's a quarterback that when he gets into a rhythm can really hurt you, and he hasn't been allowed to get into a rhythm for the most part outside of the last drive. Wobbly pass there. Nice catch, but out of bounds. Nice catch by Marco Wolverton. Todd Howard had the coverage well measured on the near sidelines.
Wolverton, one of the deep threats that Western Michigan has, but really has not been involved at all today. You run an out pattern like that, excellent coverage, and it's a timing thing. Wolverton, as you said, goes up and makes a nice catch, but excellent coverage by Howard.
Punt formation time. And it'll belong to Michigan on the 20 on the touchback. Adam Anderson on the punt. And here at Michigan Stadium, the record just over 111,000. Stadium capacity just over 107. And today, 109,837 in attendance.
Well, there was some hope or some thought that they may set a new record today because of the juggling and having other people that were scheduled to come. And you mentioned earlier the Illinois game. And you fell just a few thousand short, but I'm sure they're happy with 109 plus.
Walter Cross in heavy traffic got back to the line of scrimmage in maybe half a yard. Western gets a lot of people in the box. They try to get, what, 8 guys in the box basically up near the line?
Well, they do, and some of those are their safeties because they play with 5 defensive backs, and that's the key. They need to get 4 linemen and 4 other bodies in that box to shut down the run. And it's a tough position to play if you're one of the safeties because you got to be fast enough to cover in pass coverage, but yet big and strong enough to run support.
Second down for Navarre. On a delay, Askew breaking tackles and then powering for the first down. That was all B.J. Askew. He was hit in the backfield initially and would not go down. First down on a gain of about 10.
Boy, individual effort. Here you see Browning almost had him there and then just faces up late and breaks that tackle. What should have resulted in a 3rd and long for Michigan with no missed tackles turns into a first down because of excellent effort by B.J.
B.J. Askew has just gone over the 100-yard rushing mark for the first time in his Michigan career. Navarre all day. Going deep for Walker. Penalty marker down. Walker cannot hang on. That was Joe Ballard who had his hands full, and he may have had a handful of Marquise Walker.
Navarre did a nice job once he saw that Walker had pretty good position. He threw the
15-yard penalty for the previous spot. Automatic first down.
There you can hear the call, which is no surprise. You watch Navarre throw the ball away from the defensive back. That allows Walker, who's looking back at the ball, to adjust away. As Ballard sees that, he just has no choice out here but to hold on and hold on. Then they get tripped up right there. And nice job initiated by Navarre to lead the receiver into the open spot.
Well, we saw one of John Navarre's first games last year here at Michigan. And it was impressive for a redshirt freshman. Another misfire on the offensive line, it appeared.
You know, I think that's going to be the flag, but I think the one that misfired was the center. I just think the ball came up early.
You think a fifth-year senior would make that mistake?
Oh, I think a first-year starter would.
That's what Kurt Anderson is.
There you go.
First-year starter.
Fifth-year guy, first-year starter, which is a tribute to the line that he played behind, as you mentioned. I think that's what they're discussing right now, is there looked like it was something very awkward, but I didn't see anybody else move other than the center, and obviously he's the one that initiates the play.
Think they may pick this one up? Literally, they do. And now let's get the call. Literally, figuratively, in every way they pick it up.
In every way. Well, it's kind of hard when the center starts to play and it looks awkward, so you blow the whistle and that kills the play. So did the right thing. Just go back and say, oops, never mind.
Benny Joffreu in for Calvin Bell. The Michigan lineup. Joffreu is fast becoming a target at the tight end spot. They are so deep at that position, Randy. They may have 5 tight ends in this program who could start for almost anybody in the country. Askew. This time, JoJo Mesa first to the ball, made the stop. Or let me correct that, and it was Jason Malloy got in there to make the stop. JoJo Mesa is a junior college transfer. We spoke of him earlier in this Western defensive core. And you mentioned that what Western's playing for here today is not so much victory today, but to get their game together, to get ready to start hitting on all cylinders for the upcoming MAC season, which begins next week.
They struggled against Virginia Tech, a lot of penalties. They wanted to get back in and have something positive to build on. Certainly at this point, that's what they're looking for.
Nice catch, Marquise Walker. First down to the 43-yard line of the Broncos. Lewis and Ballard in the neighborhood defensively.
At this point, too, Lloyd Carr, he's ahead 31-14. He's got to be thinking, all right, guys, we have a lead. It's a semi-comfortable lead, but we didn't have the kind of execution in the first half that I wanted to have on either side of the ball, and I want to go out there and play this game like it's 0-0 and get that kind of execution, because next week with Illinois coming in here, they're going to have to be sharper, especially mentally, than they were earlier in this game.
That was the third catch for Marquise Walker. Off the hands of Japru, incomplete. And if Kevin Coleman had looked up a little bit earlier, he might have been able to pick it off.
You know, and that's one thing you do have to be very careful of. We talked about John Navarre not turning things around, not giving Western Michigan something to spark their interest here, spark their confidence. A quick play like that, it goes the other way, and all of a sudden it's a 10-point game. You talked about those 5-10 ends that can play. If Benny Japru drops many more of those, they'll have 4.
Is it going to play?
They'll have 4.
Second down. Askew with running room. Nice spin move. And look at him drive the pile. It took reinforcements to bring him down, but he gets all the way to the 36-yard line of the Broncos, and it'll be third down from there.
You watch Askew run, and he's got such a smooth style and such good speed that you forget the fact he's 6'3", 230 pounds. I mean, that's a big back. And you can see the strength as he's broken many tackles, and even when he hadn't broken away, he's carrying them forward.
Well, he's got more yards today than he had in his first 2 years at Michigan.
I don't think it'll be his last 100-yard game.
Here comes Underwood. Another big back with speed. David Underwood is a freshman. We mentioned him earlier. A huge tailback at 6 feet and about 220 pounds. Runs a 4.38 40 and led his team in rushing on the high school level in the last 3 seasons, setting a school record with 3,805 yards and 46 touchdowns during his high school career. Fourth down for Michigan. They come up about a half-yard short. Officials timeout. They want to measure this? Yes, they do.
Well, the chain's on the other side of the field. They want to come over and make sure. Plus, Lloyd Carr probably wants to do 2 things. Find out how short they are, but he's really just buying some extra time to let his offensive coordinator think about what play he wants to run.
They're short by about a foot, it looks like. I think one thing that Michigan wanted to accomplish today was try to establish some other receivers besides Marquise Walker, and in effect they've done that. Walker has 3 catches. He had an impressive touchdown catch right before halftime, but they've gotten some other people to step up, and obviously Askew in the passing game out of the backfield, and Calvin Bell has had a pretty good day, had a good first half.
Calvin Bell's been impressive. And I think Lloyd Carr was also concerned, how is the team going to come out? The last time we played, we really gave the game away at Washington. Then he had the events of the last 2 weeks. I think he really had some questions about who was going to show up.
I asked him, where's your team right now? And he said, I don't know. I don't know where they are in terms of their development. Navarre and the quarterback sneak. Not a bad call when you got a 6'6", 245-pound quarterback back there. So Lloyd Carr needed to get some answers here today, and I think he got some. He also has some points to coach on, as we mentioned the last time we were here 3 weeks ago.
Well, I think defensively he knew where his team was. He knows what to expect from them, and he pretty much knows what he's going to get out of them. Offensively, that's where the question marks have been, and the biggest one is going to be how quickly will John Navarre develop to the point where we can start counting on him more and more.
Underwood piling it forward inside the 30 on a gain of about 4 or 5 yards. Malloy and Pinder on the stop.
Wayne, you see David Underwood in there this series and has been doing a nice job, but I've got to think that this team, this staff, has been more impressed with B.J. Askew, and he has given them more than maybe what they realistically thought was going to happen. He's been very impressive in all phases, the pass game as well as the run game.
Maybe the last play of the third quarter here as Michigan on the drive at the Western 27-yard line. 10th play of this drive coming up. Navarre stood in there, waited for Bellamy to clear, and the pass overthrown incomplete. Navarre took a shot from Kevin Coleman, a weak safety, who ran into the quarterback unabated.
Boy, he saw it coming. See it from the top of your screen. He sees it coming. Askew does the nice thing. You take the inside guy always. You let the outside. He's got farther to go. You let the outside guy go. But Navarre stood right in there knowing he was going to take it. And well, it was the other guy going off the field.
Start was at the 20-yard line. They've worked 10 plays. 4 first downs of this drive. Navarre patient again. Walker trying to adjust. Cannot quite catch up with it. He was looking to the sidelines. That pass came more over the inside shoulder, and Joe Ballard was in the neighborhood as well.
One of the few passes that maybe John Navarre could have thrown a little bit better and more with just touch. The farther the ball goes down the field, the more likely the receiver's going to have to adjust, so you need to put more air under it. Had that happened, Marquise Walker may have had a little more time to get there.
Remember what I said about that, maybe the last play of the third quarter? This is the third.
You said that like 8 plays ago?
Last play of the third quarter. Hayden Epstein for a field goal try of about 44 yards out of the hold of Navarre. Bad snap. Navarre gets it down. Epstein's kick to the uprights. No good. So the final seconds tick away in the third quarter. Flags on jerseys and flags everywhere here at Michigan Stadium on a star-spangled weekend, and a lot of emotion after a great halftime performance by the band. Back on the campus of the University of Michigan. Score by quarters in the third quarter, though it was a 7-7 standoff. Michigan held the football for 10 minutes and 2 seconds to 4:58 for Western Michigan. Western Michigan starts this drive first down at the Western 27-yard line. Not a whole lot there on the first play of the drive for Reed. Shante Orr made the stop. Along with Randy Wright, Jim Barber, I'm Wayne Larrabee. Great to have you with us for Big Ten football today. And Michigan at times has been impressive in this ball game here today as they get set for Big Ten action coming up.
Especially defensively. Offensively, one thing they have done well is they made some big plays. They've had some good timing, and some of their players have stepped up. Some of their key players, Askew, Walker, stepped up, made some big plays.
Absolutely, and they were able to spread the wealth a little bit in that passing game, which Lloyd Carr intended to do. Second down at about 9. Make it 8. Welsh off a vacant backfield. Antonio Thomas stepped out of bounds before picking up the first down at the 35-yard line.
Just keep him here.
Eric Diggs forced him out. Penalty marker down to the offensive backfield. In the first half, Western Michigan was relatively penalty-free.
On the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Roughing the quarterback, the call against the Michigan defense. So that's a major. And we'll move the football out to the midfield marker. Michigan leading 31-14, but if Western was to get on the board early here in this fourth quarter.
Especially with something big. Then with their style of defense, we've seen a couple of near turnovers. You just never know, and I'm sure that's a thought going through Lloyd Carr's mind.
Larry Foote's coming on the blitz. Welsh. Stevens finally gets him to the ground at the 44-yard line of the Broncos. Jim Barber.
Thanks, guys. Stephen Baker's a defensive lineman for the University of Michigan, and the words "let him be alive" ring well in his house. His father, Robert, was around the World Trade Center tragedy back on September 11th, but not in the building. Used to work there back in 1993, but that bombing back then by terrorists forced him to a building across the street. So as a result, that day he was not in the World Trade Center, and at that particular point, at the day of the tragedy, he was actually getting off the subway. It turns out that neither Stephen Baker or the rest of his family, guys, knew if his dad, Robert, was dead or alive. And in fact, it wasn't until later in the afternoon that his mother called from New York and said, "Dad is okay," and Stephen obviously relieved, cried and cried and cried. Throughout all the tragedy and all the sorrow with the victims and the destruction we've seen, there is a story of joy that has come from one Stephen Baker and his family.
And really, Jim, as Lloyd Carr told it, Stephen Baker is the senior who stood up and said, we've got to play this football game, meaning last week.
Absolutely, and you couldn't blame him because he had such a patriotism, such a strong feeling knowing that his dad was alive and well, that the rest of the team was ready to follow him.
Third down for Welsh. Got a receiver wide open. It's Jennings for a first down. And Marcus Curry forces him out at the Michigan 35.
A lot of room on the outside here for Welsh to hit his receiver, especially on third and short. And though it doesn't look like much, Western Michigan has put a little thing together here, overcame that sack and got a first down. And as we referred to earlier, Wayne, that discomfort level is growing in Lloyd Carr now.
Welsh faked the pass. Reed trying to break a couple of tackles, gets it inside the 35 on a gain of a couple of yards to the 34. And Larry Foote made the stop for Michigan. Very active linebacking core for the Michigan Wolverines. And they've got some talented people on the flank of the defense as well, led by Todd Howard.
This is where Michigan, throughout this game, has stepped up the tempo on defense, started coming after Welsh, and for the most part had great success doing it.
They've got a true freshman at cornerback in Marlon Jackson, and he's at the bottom of your screen right now. He's playing soft coverage. Welsh looking to throw, hit as he throws. Incomplete. Diving attempt made by Jennings, the receiver, but Welsh was under heat right away. Shante Orr.
Well, you saw Larry Foote, number 17, coming from what would be Welsh's right, but it was Shante Orr from his defensive end position that came from the left and got the pressure. Shante Orr, I don't think he's ever got over the fact that he was a high school quarterback and they moved him to defense here. He kind of always wanted to go back to play quarterback.
Well, he kind of outgrew the position, Randy. They said, well, you can't play quarterback at 250 pounds. And he said, well, what about the guy in Minnesota, Dante Culpepper?
Illegal substitution. The offensive team broke the huddle with 12 players. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Nice, one of those nuisance penalties. They kind of get in your way as you start making your drive.
Well, it's one of those things on 3rd and 7.
Yeah.
3rd and 12 makes it a big difference, much more so than just 5 yards. It takes longer for the plays to develop downfield, and with the lack of protection Welsh has had, it just is another obstacle to overcome. But back to Shante Orr, I think he's done a pretty good job at defensive end. I think I'd leave him over there.
Yeah. He wants to play quarterback, though. I don't think he'll get the chance to do it here. Welsh. Cato June with a high tackle attempt. I don't believe it was a face mask at all. Wolverton on the reception.
Nice catch. What that play does is it will now put Western Michigan into a makeable 4th down if they choose to go for it here, which I think they will. Now at 4th and 6, a lot easier than if it's 4th and long. Take a look at the tackle here again. Nice job holding on to the ball, but a clean hit.
4th down, about 6. 4 receiver set. Reed the lone back. Welsh, first down. Aferiogun, the tight end, inside the Michigan 25. At the 22-yard line, Cato June ushered him to the chalk marks.
What a nice job all the way around by this Bronco offense. The blitz was coming. They picked it up well. Take a look at the right side of your screen. Picks that up well. Welsh throws the ball with a lot of touch on it before Aferiogun had even turned around, but put it in the right spot. Aferiogun does a nice job of separating. Just a nice job all the way around.
Just under 12 minutes to go in the game. Western trying to climb back in it. Welsh on the run. Penalty marker thrown. Maybe in the area of holding. Or an illegal block, perhaps, on the rollout. Illegal block.
Well, it's not a surprise. It can't be a surprise to Gary Darnell that Michigan is coming after them offensively, but often what happens when you move your quarterback in the pocket, it changes the angle, the rush comes, and therefore the holdings, the illegal blocks, those things happen.
Shot block on offense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat, first down.
This is kind of what happened to them at West Virginia. They'd get something going with the Broncos, and then Gary Darnell was saying all of a sudden it'd be 1st and 10 at like the 20, and then we get a penalty, and now it's 1st and 15. And you're really backed up at that point.
Well, it's hard to play yourselves and the other team at the same time.
1st and 15, 1st and 25 in this case here off this penalty. From the Michigan 35. Welsh, little comeback route. Kendrick Mosley for a short gain to the 29-yard line of Michigan. Hobson and Drake covered him.
What Western Michigan likes to do, this play looks very similar to the one we saw a couple of plays ago. It is the same play. All they've done is change personnel. You come out with a different look, makes the defense think you're doing something different, but you really just run the same play.
2nd down at about 19. Josh Bush in motion. Off the hands of Jennings, and he had the true freshman Jackson in his shirt. Jackson in high school, 18 career interceptions, 4 of which he returned for touchdowns.
Pretty good coverage, excellent coverage. It was a pretty good throw here. It's a spot where you put that ball maybe a little too much mustard on it, but boy, catchable ball, especially when you catch it in your body, and one you got to catch in that situation.
Absolutely, because then you'd be looking at a 3rd down and maybe 8 or 9, but now it's 3rd and very long, and this is what they've done on 8 yards or more. 1 of 6 from the deep set. Welsh to the side. The catch is made by Brandon Johnson. They are short of the 1st down, but face another 4th down. It'll be 4th and about 5 at the 15-yard line of Michigan, and the 2nd time on this series that Western Michigan has faced a 4th down. Let's take a look at the Red Roof in red zone proficiency. Western Michigan 4 chances today, a couple of touchdowns.
Well, the fact they've been down there now, this is the 5th time. They've moved the ball offensively, and generally it's been something they've done to stop themselves. Here, 4th and 5, lots of options, lots of different things you can do.
3 receivers sent. Welsh, Ferriogan denied the 1st down. I believe he's just short on 4th down. What a tackle made by Cato June.
Well, you get the man-to-man coverage that you want. You hit your receiver in stride, and you got to count on him. If you get him the ball before he gets to the 1st down, you got to count on him to pick that up. They're going to measure here, but I think you're right, Wayne. I think it's going to be short. Take a look here. Welsh hits his man right in stride. It is just excellent coverage. And I'll tell you, Cato June at 225 pounds is big enough to bring down that big tight end, and he did it one-on-one.
Ferriogan 6'4" and about 240. They are short. The ball goes over to Michigan on downs. Western continues to trail by 17. Oh, one of the great sights of college football, the venerable press box at Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Along with Randy Wright and Jim Barber, this is Wayne Larrivee. Better than 109,000 on hand here today for Michigan and Western Michigan. B.J. Askew has had a great day running the football. He picks up a few yards there. Let's go to the Phillips 66 Sports Center in-game studio. Mike Gleason.
Wayne, Florida State, North Carolina, another touchdown for UNC. Darian Durant has a couple of scoring strikes. This time it's Ronald Curry off his back foot. A little wobbly, but wide open. Corey Bailey, 53 yards, 20 unanswered points. Carolina 27, Florida State 9. Wayne?
I believe there's a moratorium on coverage by Florida State defensive backs. Going for Walker, who was held up. Walker jostling all the way with Joe Ballard, who has had his work cut out for him today.
On the defense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic First down.
Well, you see Joe Ballard there arguing his case. We'll get another look here and see how much interference and where the ball was going to come down.
He's holding him right there.
Like he's holding him
I don't know
pretty
what
obvious
he's
right there.
about.
Nice job by Navarre again, putting the ball out in front of him, and very clear hold.
I don't know. Walker might have been able to catch up with that, but
well, it wasn't interference, though. Well, yeah. It was interference, but it should have been a holding call. It was interference, and I don't know if he would have been able to get to the ball, but either way.
Walter Cross got back to the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
Alsbury and Coleman collaborate on the stop. We haven't called his name much, and that's Anthony Alsbury. He's the Lombardi candidate. They call him a special player. Came back from a leg injury in the game at Virginia Tech and made some plays. Former walk-on, was named to the league's top unit a season ago.
These defensive ends for Western Michigan, Alsbury and Browning, both juniors, just outstanding. Solid, good players.
2nd and 10. Overshot Walker did Navarre. Jim Barber.
Guys, there's been a run on American flags in this country, and why not? Great patriotism. Michigan, indicative of the flag fever in this country. And of course, ordinarily Big Ten flags across this great stadium, but today it's American flags. Some local seamstresses have worked on jerseys for the University of Michigan with the flags. And on top of doing the work for Michigan, Big Ten officials have flags on their jerseys. And down the line, Michigan State will get some help with local seamstresses in Ann Arbor to get jerseys taken care of as well. Just a great story.
Navarre. Too tall for Marquise Walker there. It's 4th down for Michigan. Did I hear you right, Jim? You said the seamstresses in Ann Arbor are going to be doing the stitching on the flags for Michigan State's jerseys as well?
Yes, you heard it. You heard it right, Wayne. It turns out that one of the ladies that's doing it, Miss Alberts, well, she's a longtime Michigan football fan, but she says she doesn't mind helping out Michigan State. I guess both of her children graduated from there, so that's the reason behind her efforts, plus some patriotism, I'm sure.
It'll be 1st down for Western Michigan, just across the Bronco 40-yard line when we resume. Well, it has been a collection of flags and every type of jersey imaginable here at Michigan Stadium today. Back at Michigan Stadium, Western Michigan will start this drive at the Bronco 41-yard line. And Jeff Welsh has distributed his passes to 8 different receivers here today. 3 receiver set. Welsh waited a long time. Good protection up front. Ferriogan made the catch, and he steps out of bounds in the vicinity of a 1st down, but just short.
Well, you talk about all the tight ends that Michigan has, 5 roughly thereabout, that could be playing much more often somewhere else. And Ferriogan, well, I don't know if any of those are better than what we've seen with him. He has got
he runs well.
He's only a junior. He runs well. He catches the ball when it's not perfectly thrown. Really been impressive.
2nd down, about 2. One with the empty backfield right through the hands of Kendrick Mosley. That's dangerous when it pops up through the hands of a receiver over the middle, and that's short of pattern.
Western Michigan trying to take advantage of Michigan not recognizing quickly enough the formation set, snap the ball, and get something out of it. They only needed a couple yards, but you got to make that catch. You cannot afford to drop those kind of balls.
You know, as his numbers here, and you see he's been sacked 7 times, 339 yards. That's a career high for him. So he has faced the adversity.
And an excellent completion percentage, quite a few drops, and several he's thrown away under duress.
May have changed the play of the line there. Oh, the jailbreak is on. The Wolverines all over the quarterback. No chance there. Shante Orr among others. Freisinger was in there. Boyer was downfield as well.
Well, excellent coverage downfield. It starts downfield. The receivers can't get open. You see Welch is only going 5 steps. He's set up right there. Boy, jailbreak is right. There's just not anything open quickly enough down the field.
8th sack for the Michigan defense. Punt formation time. Anderson's kick does get a Western Michigan roll to the Michigan 30-yard line, where the Wolverines will take over with just under 8 minutes to go in the game. The Eagle stands tall atop Michigan Stadium. First down for the Wolverines. New quarterback is Jermaine Gonzalez, taking over for John Navarre. Spencer Brinton is considered to be the second string quarterback. Gonzalez is a redshirt freshman, an intriguing prospect out of Pontiac, Michigan, Orchard Lake St. Mary's High School. That high school, by the way, that he attended, has produced 7 NFL players. Second down. Walter Cross made the first carry of this series. Seymour, the tight end, gets the first down to the 44-yard line of Michigan. Brian Lape made the stop.
You know, there's a little controversy going on at the quarterback position, and not with Navarre, but who is the true solid number 2 quarterback between Spencer Brinton and Jermaine Gonzalez. And here Gonzalez getting a little bit more of a look.
Gonzalez on the rollout. Wide open Seymour to the Bronco 22-yard line. Sam Reynolds finally got him to the ground. Well executed a rollout.
Well, with this kind of lead, you'd think they want to be running the ball and run the clock out, but you want to give your second string quarterback a chance to see some things and make some things happen. And a nice little bootleg and a nice throw. And Seymour again turns that into a big play. And once again, another tight end stepping up and making something happen.
34-yard reception there. Seymour now 4 catches, 53 yards on the day. Underwood. We take a look at the Outback Steakhouse outstanding back of the game, and it's B.J. Askew. Those are career highs in rushing yards and receiving yards, and it's the first 3 touchdown performance of his career. The man shake it up on the field for Western Michigan. Their defense has been on the field a lot in the second half. Matter of fact, Michigan held the football better than 10 minutes of the third quarter alone. Brandon Brown, defensive back, is down. Brown is the free safety, a senior out of Miami, Florida. And kind of hobbling off a little bit for Michigan is Tony Pape, the left tackle. And while we have a break, let's step away with 6:14 to go in the game. Michigan leading Western Michigan 31-14. This Big Ten game is brought to you by Cooper Tires. A lot of mileage for the money. Cooper Tires. Drive on. Red Roof Inn for affordable rates at over 350 inns nationwide. Call 800-RED-ROOF or book online at redroof.com. BMW. Test drive the ultimate driving machine at your local BMW center. And by Mobile Speed Pass. Today's way to pay. Along with Randy Wright, Jim Barber, Brandon Brown was helped off the field a few moments ago. And now Michigan resumes this drive. Brown, a free safety, starting free safety for Western Michigan. Wes Dotson replaces him in the lineup. Underwood again, plowing forward. And it appears he's got the first down to the 11-yard line.
Wayne, these Wolverines next week, they take on Illinois, and you talked about the Fighting Illini earlier, and they're kind of up and down with an impressive win, then a struggle, and beating Louisville relatively handedly today. I think 27-10 was the last score we got, and I think as the Wolverines have developed over the last couple of weeks, I think they're getting themselves in a nice position to go into that game.
I don't think there's any question about it. This Wolverine team is getting better as the season goes along. How about that hammer of a drive into the left side of the line by David Underwood. Our drive of the game brought to you by Mobile Speed Pass. Today's way to pay and play, if you want to look at it that way. 6 plays, 73 yards for Michigan. That gave them a 31-7 lead. First drive of the second half, and that pretty much set the tone for the rest of the day.
Well, when you cap that with the last drive of the first half, the big touchdown catch by Walker, then to come out and, as you said, set that tone for the second half, that was impressive. Sealed the victory for them.
The freshman Underwood ever closer. This time inside the 5, down near the 3, and a gain of 3 tough yards.
Well, this kind of gut check time for Western Michigan. They've got their backs up here. They don't want to give up another score. Michigan is going to keep pounding. They're going to run the ball in here. They're going to try and get this score. And you know, Gary Darnell is trying to find out a little bit about what his defense is made of in their gut check here. So this will be a good opportunity to answer some of those questions.
Brandon Brown went out a few moments ago. We mentioned he is suffering from a bruised knee. And he may return, we're told. On third down, Gonzalez. Russell cannot quite hang on. Penalty marker down. Eric Rosel, part of the large stable of excellent tight ends, offsides against Western Michigan. Rosel, a 5th-year senior.
Offside defense. Half the distance to the goal. Result of the penalty. First down.
New life on this series.
Big mistake right there. Would have been 4th down. Now you get a first down and a lot of cracks at it.
Western Michigan pretty much penalty free in the first half. Now has 8 penalties for the game. First and goal. Why not? Underwood. Just short. If he had spun, now the signal for a touchdown. Late in coming. Are they going to give it to him? One official said touchdown, but he came from the far side. And now they confer it is a touchdown. David Underwood had to wait out his first collegiate touchdown, but he got it nonetheless. And there is the freshman.
Well, it's a nice effort. He did a lot of the work on this drive, and he gets to finish it out. And you don't really know whether to celebrate your first touchdown or not. And the official on this side, which had the look at it, never did signal. It was the far official, but his hands went up relatively immediately.
Epstein's extra point is good, and there are flags down to the play. Penalty markers down. Another conference. And apparently it's against Western Michigan as they're talking to the Michigan people.
12 players on the defense. That penalty's declined. The try is good.
A little over 4 minutes left to go in the game. Lloyd Carr and company in command.
CSS is a Comcast charter company.
Prior to today was 85,000 down in Florida. I believe that was in 1999, but better than 109,000 on hand here today. Philip Brabs will kick off for Michigan. The Wolverines leading 38-14. Kind of a squib kick. Ronald Rogers. Ooh, good tackle made on the play. A nice undercut move by Philip Brackens.
Wayne, take a look at the quarterbacks today. Both of them relatively accurate and big plays. 339 yards, 240 yards. Navarre taking advantage of his trio of wide receivers, but pretty impressed with both of them. Of course, Welsh throughout the entire day just under constant duress.
I believe 8 sacks today by Michigan's defense.
And he's probably been hit 28 times.
Well, the senior continues at quarterback. One of the few times they've been able to get Bush involved, and the Wolverines snuff it out pretty well. Short game there. Emmanuel Cassius and Todd Howard made the stop. Jeff Welsh comes from a football family. His brother is the starting quarterback at Idaho. 2 weeks ago, when Jeff was playing at Virginia Tech, Idaho was playing down in Arizona. So Dad went to Arizona and I imagine brought the golf sticks with him, and Mom went out to West Virginia to Blacksburg.
How do you think they decided that one?
I don't know. Nice throw there. Tight end on the reception, and it'll be a third down coming up. Back to Jim Barber.
Guys, you've shown today the great patriotism in this stadium. How about the generosity? We talked about the program that you could buy for a number of dollars today, and it would go toward the relief for the victims and their families in New York and in Washington, and over $30,000 raised by donations for those programs. In fact, they're going to sell a few after the game as well. In addition, canisters, student athletes had cans around campus collecting quarters and dollars and dimes. They got over $5,000. And one other item, they took the cans up to the press section, and the press donated over $800.
Well, that's because Randy Wright kicked in a nice little stipend there.
I tell you, taking it up to the press, that may be the most unusual thing that happened today, with the fact that the press was willing to give anything.
Charles Woods on the carry there. Gets the first down for Western Michigan. How much of that will show up on an expense account, though? Yeah, the generosity of everyone in this country trying to do their part. And it has been gratifying these last couple of weeks, that aspect of it. Well, still in there firing away. Got a first down on a lunging grab made by Darnell Jennings up near the 44-yard line.
A nice catch by Jennings. Nice job keeping his concentration on this ball. I believe it gets tipped.
I think you're right.
Right there, it gets tipped, and then it starts turning sideways, but comes right to him, and he keeps his feet in bounds, and a nice job.
6 catches, 88 yards for Darnell Jennings. He's played well here today. Jeff Welsh in the final 2 minutes of this one. Another sideline pattern. Brought down in play was Brandon Johnson by Curry. Marcus Curry, the brother of Julius. Coming up next week, the Ohio State Buckeyes, 21st ranked team in the nation, playing later today at UCLA. Head to Bloomington, Indiana to take on the Indiana Hoosiers. We'll see Steve Belisari at quarterback for the Buckeyes.
You mentioned earlier, you talked to Lloyd Carr. Where's your team? He really didn't know. I think there's some questions going on over in Columbus, too, as to where that Buckeye team is.
The penalty markers down on the play are for an illegal substitution made by Western Michigan. Marco Wolverton came on the field late, and I think the penalties are beginning to get to Gary Darnell, the head coach.
And I think they should. He played such a disciplined, good first half. They have one penalty in the first half.
Yep.
And in the second half, the officials haven't been shy about throwing the flag.
There were multiple fouls on the play. Illegal motion on the offense. That penalty's declined. Illegal formation. Only 6 players on the line of scrimmage. That penalty's accepted. 5 yards. Repeat. Second down.
So it'll be a second down coming up for Gary Darnell and company. They get at it against Eastern Michigan next week in conference play. 2nd and 9. Drop over the middle. To the studio, Mike Gleason.
Well, Wayne, Wisconsin, Penn State, that's the final. Joe Paterno still on 322. They're at Iowa next week. Wisconsin wins that one. Purdue coasts after leading by 3 at halftime. The big surprise, though, ACC, it's North Carolina 41-9 right now over Florida State. Let's go back to Ann Arbor with Wayne and Randy.
Wow. I tell you what, the production truck here in Michigan is rocking because we've got 2 North Carolina grads at the control of this telecast. Eric Swearingen, our producer, and Tim Sutton, our director.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm just impressed our producer and director went to college somewhere.
Careful now. Welsh, and a tripping call coming up here. Brandon Williams appeared to be beaten on the play by Kendrick Mosley, and that might have gone for a touchdown had he not reached out and tripped him.
You know, you think there's any, let's pile up the score on Florida State after the many beatings that Florida State has handed out in the ACC year after year. You think there's any of that going on?
I think there are a lot of teams in the ACC thinking about doing that. Maybe more fantasizing about that.
It doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, North Carolina today is doing it to the 5th-ranked team in the nation. Meanwhile, Lloyd Carr in Michigan. Lloyd not happy with the first half. At least that's what he told Jim Barber. I think he's still got plenty to coach on, but nonetheless, he's going to get a comfortable win here today. Mike Azul, the man in motion. Ferriogan dropped it, second time on this series, and about the 3rd time today. That is 6 drop passes today.
Well, we talked earlier about how accurate Welsh has been, and his numbers are impressive and would even be more so without the drops. But a Ferriogan, you don't see that very often. And as you said, 2 plays in a row, and I think it's a sign that the concentration has left. In their opinion, with less than a minute to go, the game's probably over, and he's going to get a chance to think about it right there.
Yeah, and you can see the wrap on his left hand and wrist. Maybe that hand injury still bothering him a bit. He missed the opener, as we mentioned. Welsh goes over the middle. Bush close to the first down to the 30-yard line. If not, he's got it. But we'll check it out. Charles Drake made the stop. Bush has a lot of quickness and speed. They just have not been able to get it to him very often here today. On occasion they have, but they're just short of the first down. 5th catch for Bush. Made the one big play in the first half on a 47-yard reception. Running back Charles Woods for first down and more inside the Michigan 20-yard line. Well, the healing process, I think, has begun in arenas like this across the country as America gets back to some leisure time for a break from the real world. Timeout is called on the field. And Western Michigan trying to milk this drive, maybe put some points on the board. Flags will be on the uniforms for the remainder of this season at least. This has allowed people to come together not only to enjoy college football, but to display their patriotism. And that's something that is necessary in the healing process.
You know, Wayne, that's a good point. I think a lot of people really took pride in that. Was a way to come out here and join together as a group and show that. It was a wonderful pregame, a wonderful halftime ceremony, and really a sign of 2 teams that will play against each other, but you only do that on the field during the 60 minutes of the game, but before and then at halftime, really was one unit.
Final 30 seconds of this one, and on the all-time ledger, Michigan and Yale are going to apparently remain deadlocked. Yale leading Cornell 24-6 in the 3rd quarter. 100 years ago, Yale was
Michigan,
a football factory.
A football factory. They had to play each other to decide it.
Yes. Welsh trying to thread the needle to Bush. Not that time. John Shaw, the coverage.
Well, it looked like he threaded it pretty well. It looked like it was a very well thrown ball. Pretty good coverage again. And we've said that a lot today. Welsh is going to have a fair amount of incompletions. You throw the ball over 50 times, that's going to happen. But boy, those drops are mounting. And it doesn't make any difference in the game at this point. It just looks worse statistically, but not on the game film when you're looking at the performance, because he's throwing it right where it needs to be.
Welsh dumps it over the middle. One tackle missed, and Darnell Jennings brought down inside the 15-yard line with 16 seconds remaining to be played in the game. And a timeout taken by Gary Darnell and company. Marcus Curry made a sure tackle.
Well, you take a look next week, and Ohio State goes down to Indiana, and Antoine Randall, and we've seen him at wide receiver, we've seen him at running back.
But you know where he's at his most dangerous? At quarterback, because he can incorporate all of those abilities.
You know, I think when you've got maybe the most exciting player in the Big Ten, if not in the country, arguably in the Big Ten and in the country, Why wouldn't you give him the ball every play? Why wouldn't you let him touch it every play?
Exactly. You've got to get him touches. And I have a feeling before this season is done, that'll happen. But this is the 13th drive of the 13th play of this current drive for Western Michigan coming up. 16 seconds to go. Western's now out of timeouts. I think you're right, Randy. Gary Darnell just wanted to, again, get his offense into a rhythm, get him a little more repetitions out there.
Give him more snaps, give him more looks. Go into next week's game, putting 14 points on the board in the second half if they can do something here.
Welsh looking to the end zone. Incomplete. Boy, that was literally glove-like coverage by John Shaw on Josh Bush. 11 seconds to go.
Calling a lot of different names here in this Michigan secondary, and they're not shy playing a lot of people. We talked about the depth they have at running back and the depth they've got at linebacker, and now you're seeing a lot of different names out there in their defensive secondary. And that's one thing Michigan's been able to do throughout the years. They play a lot of those kids early and give them that experience. Then the next year when they have to step in and become starters, they've got a little playing time.
Fourth down. Welsh. Penalty markers all over this one. It's intercepted, but penalty markers are down. And John Shaw made the interception.
Looks like Western Michigan's going to get another chance at it. Maybe an interference call coming against Michigan with 6 seconds left on the clock. Maybe one more play.
Welsh here's the call.
Pass interference on the defense. The penalty will bring the ball to the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
Welsh has set school records for attempts and completions. 36 completions, 58 attempts here this afternoon. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our spotter, John Elliott, our statistician, Jeff Nelson, our stage manager, Tom Riddle, here in Michigan. The Wolverines had to get a whole new unit on the field.
Timeout.
Take a timeout. It was like a fire drill out there.
I think fire drills are much more coordinated.
Yeah, well, you're probably right. Probably right about that. Well, look at Lloyd Carr. He wasn't too happy with the penalties in the first half, and I don't think he's too happy with that disorganization by his Wolverines. Well, the players have gotten back to it. Randy, I would imagine next week, is it really back to normal for them?
Well, I think it's another step, a large step. And every time you can go back to do something, I think everybody's going to have to get back to where they were in terms of a normalcy on their own pace. But I think you go through the week again. There's no questions whether you play. You start becoming more familiar. You start playing your own conference games. Your Michigan and Illinois play each other. So there's more and more familiarity with everything you do week after week. And I think there were a lot of questions. Even the players, I'm sure, themselves had questions. How am I going to respond? How is it going to be when we get out there? And the focus is still maybe some things on things that happen around the game and not the game itself. And every week that will be eliminated more and more, never forgetting the importance or the focus of what the real situation is.
I think what was impressive was how the crowd reacted. They got into the stadium early. They were here for the moment of silence prior to the game. You look at the school records we mentioned a moment ago, set by Jeff Welsh. Western trying to punch it in the final seconds. Welsh over the middle, broken up. Aferiogun, the intended receiver, the all-MAC tight end. Nice play, John Spytek. He appeared to get a piece of it. 4 seconds remaining.
Well, you go back to that point we were talking about, and I don't think it will ever become as important issue as what's going on, of course, but you do get into that routine and you do give the country what President Bush wants, and that's a chance to get back into a more normal routine.
Welsh finally decides to take it himself. Touchdown as time expires.
Well, the touchdown on the last play of the game, there will be the extra point attempt, because anytime you score the touchdown, you're always given the chance to kick the extra point, as opposed to in overtime where it's the score that wins the game for you. Here, you'll have the obligatory extra point attempt.
All right. Jeff Welsh, long afternoon. What was he sacked? Almost 10 times. I believe 8 times to be exact. hung in there pretty well, set some school records here at Michigan today. Menchinger for the point after. And he's got it right through the uprights. Good hold by Dotson, and this game has come to a close. The final score from Michigan Stadium. Lloyd Carr and the Michigan Wolverines 38, the Western Michigan Broncos 21 here this afternoon. Star-spangled afternoon here at Michigan Stadium. A stirring pregame, a marvelous halftime, some great big plays on the football field. The crowd got back into one of the things America does best, and that is leisure time. We won't forget the victims or what happened September 12th, but once in a while you need a break from the real world. For Randy Wright, Jim Barber, Wayne Larrabee, so long.